We're
Hello,
live.
everybody. What's up, everybody? We're live on YouTube, um, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Apple Pods, wherever you're listening to us. We appreciate you listening or watching us. If you're watching on SoundCloud or YouTube, Joel's with me as always. I'm Rob. This is episode number 138 VA Turn Pod. Today is January the 11th. How are you this evening?
Good. I'm resting. I'm off tomorrow, Friday, so it's a rarity. I'm having like an extended little mini vacation during the week. Second week in the year. I'm already over it. Don't like the winter. Don't like the cold. So as much as I can stay inside, I'm the happiest. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm irritable, and I'm
Oof.
I'm going to make my thoughts known about a few things on here. I can't wait to talk about this stupid MLB thing, and I can't wait to talk about what's the other this stupid scumbag Cutter Goats. Yeah, I've been a little bit more disciplined lately with what I'm eating and when I'm eating and what I'm allowing myself to eat.
Yes.
So I'm very irritable because I'm basically dieting. So I'm pissed. So I'm ready to rip into Cutter Goats, and I'm ready to rip into this stupid MLB having no idea what they're doing.
And
Let's go.
I'm also curious to hear your WrestleMania or
Yes.
how you can make it better. So that could be like the cushion, the good part. I guess the Oreo in this like hate sandwich that you're going on right now. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm just gonna sit back and listen.
Oh yeah,
It's gonna
that's
be
that's gonna go right. Yeah, that's gonna be right before the villains. Yeah, that's gonna be a nice little. Okay,
but
let's roll.
let's real quick. I have to apologize on the Tuesday 10. I was in attendance in the background and I listened and I was like, dang, I was a little too loud in the background.
It's only evident like the first few seconds. After that, I tried to control the volume a little bit on my end to where you couldn't really hear the background noise, but
That's on
it
me.
conveyed fine.
That's on me. I lost sight of where I was. I was just having a conversation with your wife there, and I was just
It's
like,
all right. The your fine will be in the mail.
yes, yes, I'll gladly accept it.
It'll be hanging from your locker like they do in the NFL.
Right. By the way, was there a package received at your home today?
There was a package. I don't know if it was supposed to have your name on it
No,
or
no, no, no. It's supposed to have your wife's name on it. Your gift is
okay.
eventually
Yes.
coming.
Yeah, hers was
I completely
spelled correctly. Yeah, yeah, it came. I picked it up. I made
spelled
sure not to.
correctly.
I tried not to look at where it was from because I didn't order anything.
Yes,
So
yes,
when I
yes.
picked the package up, I kind of just turned away from it so I wouldn't look at it. But she just sent a picture in the group message between the three of us. So
Oh, really?
a good timing. Yeah.
Nice. All right. I completely forgot until this moment. I'm like, oh, she didn't say anything about the package. Maybe someone stole it.
Hopefully you
Nevertheless,
got her the Devontae Smith bobblehead I've been hoping for. I'm kidding.
damn. I want to say, I didn't know. Wish I knew.
Yeah, nah, you're fine.
Other than that, yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
that was my little blip on the Tuesday 10. My bad on that. And
No, you're good.
the Jews in the tunnel in New York. I know you touched on
But
it,
they're sealing them today. I'm very upset.
dude. Do you remember the scene in Dark Knight Rises? It's the one with Bane in
Not a
it.
movie guy. Sorry, not a movie
It's a
guy.
Batman movie. It's the
I'll take your
third
word
one.
for it.
And there was a scene Bane's in the sewers, in the tunnels of New York City, and there was a scene where the governor, the mayor of New York, sent all the cops in the tunnels to search the tunnel for Bane, or something along those lines. And then I saw earlier today that New York cops were sent in the tunnels to find I guess, the nucleus of this mysterious tunnel. So I was like, oh my god, it's real life Batman right now. What's going
I
on?
did see tweets alluding to that, so it makes sense. They did seal some of the tunnels, so there's no more. No more. I guess you can't do the Impractical Jokers punishment anymore. We're still allowed to go underground. So, shout out to that guy on Twitter. People thought it was nuts when he said he kept
Right.
hearing Yiddish underneath his apartment, and people thought he was a nutcase. And he said, "I swear to God, I hear Jews underneath me." And
Digging a tunnel or something.
naturally, he quote tweeted stuff. You guys all owe me an apology. So, good for him.
I wonder if it was
Um,
a Jew fight club.
a Jew fight. Yeah, they're like cockfighting down there, but with like little Jewish people with curly hair. Um, let's so news and notes. Miami
Right.
Heat giving Eric Spoelstra his extension after his divorce was finalized. So shout out to Short King Eric Spoelstra.
Fellow Short King. Yes. What a
Yeah.
great moment.
I don't know if that was a coincidence or if that was planned. I'm gonna probably say it was planned.
It was 100% planned.
I didn't even know he was going through a divorce. Maybe we'll get him doing the walk of shame similar to Belichick a few months ago. Joel Embiid missed his ninth game of the season. He is actually going to miss tomorrow's game as well. He's in danger of being disqualified for the MVP race because of the 65 game minimum. I believe you can't be all NBA either if
Yeah,
you're
all that.
under the threshold. Um, Having a really good season, 27 games. He's leading the NBA in points per game. Could be the third year in a row he does that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, he might not qualify for that, but 34.5 points per game, which is crazy. He's got that 30 and 10 streak, which is up to whatever now. And
I think it ended.
what's your? Did it end?
No.
I know they purposely. Wow, a nice gift.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
a nice looking gift.
I think it ended. No,
because they purposely left him in the game the other day.
Oh, there goes
and
the gift.
I tried to get him. There you go. They
So-
purposely left him in the game the other night, which was kind of pathetic when they were getting their butts kicked by, what was it, the Knicks?
yeah, I think he just hit 30, and then like, all right.
Yeah, and then
bounce.
they pulled it.
I think they care more about him getting the 30. I can care less. I want
I don't care either.
W's, and stay healthy.
Yeah, you know what I want? I want him to be healthy in April and May, so I kind of don't care if he misses games right now. This is another thing that kind of pisses me off. I don't really care about the 65 game threshold, but
Right.
who's to say that a guy that plays 62 games is any less valuable than a guy that plays 66? You mean to tell me Al Horford playing 66 games is more valuable than Joel Embiid playing 62? He's just disqualified from winning the fucking MVP. It makes no sense to me, and it's just I don't care. The awards, I think, the one thing I will say is the awards sometimes have an effect, or they have direct effect on your eligibility for particular contract extensions and things like that. So he can't get the super duper max or the mega ultra super duper max, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So I get that, but I don't think it should disqualify you from being eligible for a reward, because the award, the voters take that into account anyway. There's a reason that I don't know, Bryce Harper didn't win MVP last year in spite of the fact that he had a high OPS plus. He missed the first 2 months of the season. The voters will take that into account themselves. You don't need to set a number, a tangible number for that. Again, the awards mean nothing to me. I want him healthy in the playoffs. Supposedly, this is the same knee issue he was dealing with last year, so I would rather he miss time now, kind of like Kawhi did in Toronto under Nick Nurse, and be ready for the playoffs versus killing himself in the regular season to go win a meaningless award when they get dumped in 6 games in the second round by the Heat again. So I kind of don't care about the threshold. I don't care about the awards. If he needs to miss time right now in order for them to get him back at full strength in the middle of January, the beginning of February, and kind of get right then and figure out what their playoff rotation is going to be, fine. I don't care. But the award nonsense, he doesn't seem as hyper fixated on it as he was prior, now that he's got one, and now he's led the NBA in points. Nick Nurse steering the ship. I think they have a better veteran presence too. They're like, hey, this is the only thing that matters. Go win a fucking playoff series. I don't care about these awards. And I think sitting him now, even though it's annoying to a lot of folks like ourselves who might be buying tickets, I think it's better long term, especially for a guy that's had so much wear and tear and has generally been pretty durable in the regular season the last few years.
True. I mean, like you said, he already won it, so he doesn't really need to go out and get it unless he wants to be a repeat. But it really doesn't mean anything without a championship or a finals appearance at that point, right? Yeah, I mean, I think my frustration comes. I mean, I guess it was on that, but really it stems from this team is completely different without him, and I think they announced it yesterday on the telecast. I think they have 4 or 3 wins without Joel Embiid. The rest are losses. I think they're 4-25, something like that. I don't know what it is. No, 4-5. I think. I don't know. It's something crazy where they only have 4 wins without Joel Embiid. He's been missing, like you already said, about 10 games now. So yeah, I think 4-5, 4-6, whatever the number is. They can't really win with him. They choked one last night. They were up in the end of the third quarter. Maxey looked like he can take over a game. I don't know if you caught the interview with
Sure did. Pat Bev,
yes, and
$1
million worth of games, whatever that is. I like that.
Sixers, for what it's worth, are 2-7 this year without Embiid. That is the lowest win percentage of their tenure.
I gave him more credit.
So when he was a rookie, it was 57. Second year, 44. Third year, they were 500. Fourth year, 47. 21-22. First year under Glenn. Second year under Glenn. 42.3. Then last year they were 68.8, 11-5, and this year 2-7, which is 22%.
Yikes. Yeah, I mean, it just stems from that. Honestly, they can't really win. But Pat Bev, I like that veteran leadership. Kind of just, sticking it to Maxey. Like, look, I guess you can't do it without Joe. Like, prove it. And then he did prove it. I think he dropped 40 or 30 the next game.
Yeah, 40 and then 30 the next game.
And then followed it up. I think he ended the game with 30, or 32 points last night, but then
He
fouled
was good
out.
last night. Yeah, I think Toby had 32 and 10. I think Maxey had 35 or 36.
Yeah, I mean, they showed up, but in crunch time, that crunch time
Toby
is
time,
like,
baby.
Toby
Toby time, baby.
cost me a ticket of epic proportions. Like, it was just mad. But I think
Yeah,
that's where
I
my
don't
frustrations come from.
I don't bet on
Is
the Sixers anymore.
this team is different without Embiid, but there is some positive without Embiid. Toby steps up to the plate, Maxey steps up to the plate, and this team is deep. You can
You know what's weird?
put in Bev in the starting lineup, or you put him on the bench. The bench is deeper than it was ever before, even though we've seen it, we've tracked it historically. They don't score as much on the bench, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
But
In particular in
good signs.
national TV games too.
yeah, right. I'd love to see a little bit of Court Moss. He can't suck that bad that Springer is having more minutes than him.
He's the human victory cigar.
This is crazy. Is he Thanos?
The what's it called? The equipment manager.
Yeah. Is he the White Mamba, Brian Scalabrine? When you see him on the court, I mean, it's curtain times, whether win or loss. Like,
He's so puzzling
Court
because
Moss,
he goes from being a rotational piece to almost like a necessity. He was starting in the Hawks series to being kind of important, and then all of a sudden not even. You know what's interesting is Marcus Morris. Whenever I watch him, he plays really well, but I know he's not good. But when I watch, he had 15 points last night, all off the bench. He was pretty much the only bench scorer last night. Oubre, I think, maybe had 11, but every time he plays and I'm watching, he just gets buckets. And then the games I don't watch, he's 0 for 4 with 3 fouls. If you believe in history repeating itself, and there's a lot of theories on that about literal history repeating itself, but if you remember correctly, Giannis, 2 consecutive MVPs. The year after he won his second consecutive MVP, beat the Suns in the finals. Jokic wins 2 straight, wins the finals last year, and beat MVP last year. If he does stay healthy enough to win MVP this year, put all your money on the Sixers to win the championship next year. They will have money coming off the books with Harris and everything. We'll get into that, at some other time. But
yeah, you
I don't
did talk
know.
about that.
But I do think it's better, in my opinion, right now, and we can move on after this. It's better to have him banged up now and get him back in April, February, March, as opposed to push through this and then all of a sudden he's going to the playoffs limping. Because then you got to completely, reconfigure your rotation. You got to figure out how you're going to get. You got to replace 40 points a night essentially, and you got to figure out who's going to be the first guy off the bench. Who's your backup big? Is Mo Bamba going to play? You're going to use Morris in the backup 5. You're going to go small with Covington. What are you going to do? And I think luckily, they have kind of, they've 2-7 is not ideal, but some of these games they're in until the end. Like last night, they went to overtime. So that's a toss up once you get there. Somehow they didn't win it, but at least there are positives you can take away from it, and I think they have the right guy trying to find the answers to all these questions. And to be quite honest with you, I kind of don't care about the seeding as much, as long as they are a top 4 seed. I'm fine. They don't need to be the 1. They don't need to be the 2. It doesn't really matter to me. They don't win at home in the playoffs anyway. So I think it's important that they get into the playoffs and they get a relatively favorable matchup that isn't Miami.
4 spots
or
not
Boston.
4 spots not that great either, because you're facing the 5th seed right off the rip.
Yeah, you're getting like the
behind
Pacers or somebody, or like a team that is
Pacers
kind
beat the
of
brakes out of us last time.
fake good. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you're
let's
right,
move
though.
on.
You're right.
Oh,
you're
I'm
right.
sorry. No. You finished up, and then we can move on.
No. I was just saying you're right. Honestly.
Say it again for the people. No, I'm kidding.
The one thing, I'll wrap this up.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There is something to it. Historically, you see him forcing throughout the season to play, and then by the time playoffs comes in, he's limping, and then he eventually is hurt. Obviously, the eye or whatever the case may be. The team doesn't know how to play with him now in the most pivotal part of the season, which is the playoffs. Now you're going almost 10 games without him. This is your practice of like, all right, this is how we function without Embiid. How do we figure this out now? So if it were the case in the playoffs, we can adjust and go back to our formation we done in the regular season. So it's like a tryout period without Embiid and how they do. And like you said, it was a toss-up last night. Somehow they lost, but both Maxey and Toby, your stars, 60-plus points combined. I'm not
You
mad at
can't
that.
ask for much more from your second and third option in a game where they're kind of elevated a
Yeah.
little bit. And listen, God forbid they play in the playoffs without Embiid. At least they're getting some sort of,
Right.
the thing that sucks about missing your best player for 20 games is you're missing your best player for 20 games. But at least you get a chance to see what you're going to have to do in the event that he's not around. And
Right.
I think, unfortunately, the last couple of years he's missed at least one playoff game. I think each of the last. Well, he didn't miss any of the Hawks series, right? No, he didn't miss. He missed.
Yeah.
I think he missed one game against the Wizards
Raptors.
3 years ago.
I think
I don't know if he
one with
missed
the
it.
Raptors.
He missed at least. I think he missed two in the Miami series 2 years ago. I don't know if he missed anything last year, but he was definitely playing like
The first two last year.
like
I mean, last
crap.
season.
They
That's when Harden went off.
they swept Brooklyn and then they beat the. Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. He missed. He missed the first two games against Boston, right? When
Yeah.
Harden had 40 game one.
Yep.
That's right. He did. So he's missed playoff games pretty much every year of his career. The only years I can't remember him missing games were the year they beat Brooklyn and then lost to Toronto. He didn't miss any games, but he was playing hurt. And then in 2020, he was actually healthy, but they were missing everybody else.
Yeah.
I think Curry might have been out. I think they were starting like Thibault, Horford,
Danny Green
Simmons
was
like
out.
broke his back.
Danny Green was
Yeah,
out.
that was a bad. Fucking Al Horford was his shooting guard. Terrible.
Terrible.
All right, let's move on. And
Yeah.
this is the thing I'm most angry about.
Ooh.
MLB. How many times am I gonna fucking say it on this podcast? If you ever see the meme of the guy
Let me sit back.
where he's on the bicycle and he's riding the bike and then he puts the stick underneath the wheel and then he falls off and blames somebody else,
No.
or the guy, I think it's Eric Andre, where he turns around and shoots somebody and then blames it on someone else that's not himself. Like, it'll be like turn around and shoot, like, why would so and so do this? The MLB, every year I have to listen to them bitch and fucking moan about the fact that they can't build a fan base and people are not interested, and we're going to create these stupid fucking rules to kind of get little kids watching the game.
Right.
And you know what they do? It's a dumb hill to die on, but maybe if I am going to die in my 30s, this is the hill to die on. The fucking national TV schedule for the MLB. They unveiled, it's Sunday Night Baseball is what it is. It's one game a week. They unveiled the Fox schedule. I don't think it's as easy as, hey, we're going to do this. You figure out how to flex everything out. But the first Saturday of the MLB season should be a big deal. It's the first weekend. It's one of the first 5 weekends without football. You get the fake football, The Rock and his whatever
XFL?
transvestite fucking divorced wife or whatever running the fucking UFL. College football's done. NFL, it might be approaching draft season. It might be a couple weeks out. And NBA is kind of, you don't really care because it's not the playoffs yet. And NHL, nobody cares until the playoffs. March 28th is opening day. It's a Thursday. There's no reason for ESPN to not have 4 games on that day, or at least 3. They're going to have maybe one, and then they're going to be like one regionally scheduled broadcast that'll be simulcast on MLB Network. You'll get like a Yankee game or something. You'll have Yankees Astros or something on ESPN at 4 o'clock, and then you'll have like a 10 o'clock game between the Rockies and the fucking Savannah Bananas. And they're not going to promote it even a little. I sent you this picture, and this is what really pissed me off. The first Saturday of baseball season is March 30th. I will be in possibly Seattle for this, by the way. Or maybe Kansas City, we'll know. The first Saturday of the MLB season, they put out the Fox schedule, Fox/FS1. The 4 o'clock game that day, I think it's actually Phillies Braves, which is kind of cool. 7 o'clock that day, they have Yankees Astros, or they have Padres and I believe Giants. What is stopping them from putting a fucking 1 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock game, a 7 o'clock game, and a 10 o'clock game? One of your 7 o'clock options is a West Coast game. And it's not even the one with Ohtani in it. Ohtani plays that night, by the way. The Dodgers are the only team MLB seems to be promoting on their fucking Instagram. And it's the only, and they're not even involved in the opening weekend. There's nothing that says that they have to be on MLB Network that night. They can't be on TV. What is stopping them from doing, for instance, 1:40, I think the only game is Brewers, Mets.
Yeah.
That game doesn't mean anything, but it's a baseball game in New York. And, the Brewers have some really good pitching on their team. They have some good hitting. The Mets are fun. They have a billion-dollar Jew owner. They're going to spend millions more in free agency. That might be Luis Severino's first start as a Met. Who knows? Or Kodai Senga. Or maybe they signed, one of the other Japanese guys that's coming over. Right. Or maybe they make a trade. What is stopping them from going 140 Mets, 405, whatever? I think it's Phillies Braves, Yankees Astros. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yankees Astros dinner time matchup, 7 o'clock. Sit down, watch the guys smash the trash cans. Watch Juan Soto's first national game as a friggin' Yankee. Watch, maybe they get Jordan Montgomery back. That's his first start. It could be Verlander's first start of the season. And then why not just have the 10 o'clock game be the Dodgers and whoever they're playing? I think it might be the Cubs that weekend. Or, no, I'm sorry, it's not the Cubs. It's the Is it Diamondbacks maybe? They're not on. They're putting the fucking Padres and the Giants on, which could be fun because that could be, it gets you a chance to see
I'm looking at it right now.
the new outfielder the Giants have, and it gets you a chance to see who's on the Padres. But
Brother.
what is keeping them from doing it? I know it's not as easy as, hey, flex out, Gordon Ramsay's show and The Voice and all this stuff just so we can put our 4 baseball games we're not promoting at all. But what is stopping them from going, we're going to go quadruple header, we'll shell the money out, Budweiser's going to sponsor all of it anyway, we're going to get all the money, kids are going to watch, buy the fucking foam fingers from Fanatics that are going to have the wrong logo on them. What is stopping them? And I'm so tired of build it, promote it, put an ad right now, MLB Network across the bottom. Hey, tune into the quadruple header, the extravaganza mega deal.
Right.
A weekend before anything else happens. It's not even the same Saturday as WrestleMania, so you're not up against anything else. There's no other. You're going to be up against the UFL. If that takes precedent, then you deserve all the fucking negative things that are happening to you with baseball because you can't promote your sport. What is keeping them away from having that on ESPN on the sidebar? Hey, 3 games on opening day, 4 games on that Saturday. MLB Network running a ticker on the bottom. Fox promoting it during all their biggest, shows. It makes no sense to me. They should promote it during the fucking Super Bowl for all I care. Hey, got a mega extravaganza, 4 great games, bunch of stars, 4 big markets. Otani's on there. That's the only team you guys care about. It's the only team we care about promoting anyway. And Manfred, who took over for C-League, no idea how to grow the game. All he's doing, he's fucking altering the balls and not even telling people.
Pitch clock.
If they know people want home runs, they know people like you and I grew up watching Bonds and Sosa hit balls to the moon because they were juiced to the fucking gills.
Right.
If they want offense, just come out and say, hey, look, we're going to change the balls this season. We understand the balls are not flying as far. The ball's not coming off the bat as much. Pitchers are way more advanced than hitters right now. We know you tune in to watch offense. We're going to mess with the balls. No, they don't even tell you. They got fucking Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander and Trevor Bauer going on post-game interviews saying, hey, the ball feels weird. I feel like I was throwing a different ball the other night in Milwaukee than I was today in LA. They got to figure this out. It feels like guys are hitting bombs off me left and right. 2019, Scott Kerring had 20 home runs. Make it make sense.
Right.
Furthermore, they do nothing to promote the sport. And they're doing nothing this year either. They got 1 game every other Saturday on Fox Sports 11 at 10 o'clock at night between the Rockies and the fucking Florida State Seminoles. It makes no sense to me. They don't promote Trout. They're hardly promoting Otani outside of their Instagram page. There's no good programming. You got to pay for MLB Network. There's nothing. They tried to cancel baseball tonight with Tim Kirkchin, whoever else, Joe Moore. I don't know who else was on ESPN.
Oh, shit.
They don't care, and they got rid of all the good announcers. Vasgersian's gone. Schulman's gone. John Miller's doing games for the Giants. He could very easily still be doing Sunday Night Baseball. And it makes no sense to me. They don't do anything on social media. Their TikTok's a fucking joke. Their Twitter sucks even worse. Their YouTube has no good programming on it. They're putting out 1 show a week for kids called Play Ball on MLB Network, and it's on 9 a.m. on a Saturday. Nobody's watching. In between, Ken Burns' documentary about baseball. And all their Instagram is Dodger. It might as well have giant baseball with the LA logo in the middle. They do nothing to promote their sport, and they deserve all the negativity they're getting because this regime thinks that because they made the balls a little bit lighter and they changed the home run derby format, which also sucks. They think people are going to watch. And because there's 45 seconds less between commercial breaks and you only get 15 seconds to throw a pitch, they think people are going to start caring. Viewership is not up. It's down. Nobody cares about the World Series every year because it's up against, college football. Yeah. Nobody is watching baseball, and it's because they don't know how to promote their sport. They have dozens of stars that people would love. Mookie Betts would be the most popular athlete if you're playing any other sport. He's known more for his bowling ability than he is his baseball ability in some markets. They do nothing to promote Trout, who is arguably the best player since DiMaggio. Otani is not even going to be watchable because he's going to be on at 10 o'clock every night, and he's the most unique baseball player in the history of the sport. And they do nothing to promote this sport. And this is just a microcosm. I know it's a small thing to die on, a small hill, but this microcosm of them just mailing in the national TV schedule, nobody will watch, nobody will care. And then when these players want more money and the owners don't want to give it to them, it's because they're not making as much money off these players. And the TV deal goes and signs with fucking Hulu or Netflix or something in a couple of years and nobody's going to watch. Then don't come crying about, not being able to grow the game. It makes no sense to me. Fuck Rob Manfred. Brings a bad name to people with that good first name.
It's a solid. Yeah, drink some water, King.
Is it hot in here?
Man, you just
go through menopause.
There's so much to unpack there.
I'm just gonna let you talk about everything else, and I'll tune in with the WrestleMania.
I'll probably just make you more mad by talking. Yeah, the first day of the MLB season should be like how I forget how NBA does it, but NFL is opening weekend. It's a Thursday game. It's only one game. You showcase it, and usually it's the contending Super Bowl champs, or it's a nice matchup. Chiefs Detroit. We laughed
They put
at
the
it.
banner up.
We laughed at it. Detroit shocks the world, and now they're both in the playoffs. And
Yeah.
Detroit, like it's crazy, right?
NBA does, not to cut you up, but NBA does, I think, 2 on TNT and then 2 on ESPN back-to-back days or something like that.
They probably,
Usually the opener's like a Tuesday or
they probably
something.
alternate.
Yeah, they go like
hours.
Bucks and Celtics on TNT, followed by, I don't know, Lakers and Warriors, and then the next day ESPN has Knicks and Sixers and
'Cause I think we talked.
Grizzlies and Suns or something.
I don't know if we talked about this off the air or in a previous episode, but you just mentioned about MLB not marketing.
Oh, I've said it
You
plenty,
see-
trust me.
Well, in the terms of how the other sports are monopolizing a holiday. NBA
Yes.
kind of runs Christmas. It's basically what, noon to basically 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you wake
All
up, you open your
games.
presents, you watch the Knicks at 12:30.
Right.
Every year, you don't even have to guess
Thanksgiving.
who's playing on Thanksgiving. You know who's playing Thanksgiving.
But all to be said is, for both sports, a plethora of games, marquee matchups throughout. That's 2 points there. And then here's the third one.
And clearly handpicked, by the way.
Ampic. But here's the
You're
other
not
one.
putting Rockies and Marlins on Labor Day. You should pick out a good matchup.
Right. Here's the kicker. None of them are playing on the same time. You don't see 2 basketball games at the same time on the same network or a different network. No.
Chiefs and Lions was not on the same time as Falcons fucking Packers on Thursday Night Football.
Well, that's one game. But yes, Christmas or Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
you see them spread out. So it's
Yes.
game after game after game after game.
There's limited overlap, and in some cases there is no overlap because there's actually a gap between the games.
I'll read you the schedule right here. I'm not reading
And by the
all
way,
of it, though.
also for what it's worth, they're getting fucking boxed out by college football. College football's monopolized New Year's Day now,
Yeah.
and New Year's Eve. The New Year's Six is a real thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Even college basketball. College basketball knows how to monopolize the opening tournament where they play the games.
March Madness. They
Yeah,
monopolize
and then
March,
obviously,
period.
and they have these the invitationals at the beginning of the year where it's like Big Ten versus the SEC, and it's whatever Duke playing against this person. Or,
I gotta figure out. We gotta figure out what is MLS does, because if MLS monopolizes something, MLB, you just need to get it together. 'Cause I think
Yeah.
NHL does something.
oh, NHL has the Winter Classic every year. They have a really cool All-Star format. They don't really take advantage of holidays though.
But they do something.
Even fuck me, the NBA plays on MLK Day. They have like a triple header on TNT or whatever. It might be President's Day. Excuse me if I'm wrong. But I know there's like a random Tuesday holiday or something in February that they always have. Sixers played the Bucks one time. I got home from work. I'm like, why is it the fourth quarter already?
And there's another thing. You mentioned you have to pay for MLB.com, right, to watch.
MLB Network, which I
MLB
mean, I
Network.
understand. MLS, you also have to pay for Apple TV, and you also have to pay extra money for Red Zone and NFL Network and NBA TV.
Yeah,
and all that.
but those games, I don't know about NFL, like Sunday Ticket, but I can speak for Apple TV with MLS because I've had it.
Mhm.
There's no blackout market games. I watch everything. I watch the Union. I watch everything.
Don't get me started on this shit.
Yeah, I told you.
I've
I'll
watched
get you more mad.
I've watched one live Phillies game on the MLB app. Shout out my friend Christian who I traded whatever my Xfinity login for his MLB login.
Sure.
Don't tell my wife. She's not listening anyway. She might hear me from the other room because that's how pissed off I am today. But shout out Christian to let me use his MLB login.
Right.
I've watched one Phillies game live on the MLB app, and it was because I was in San Francisco. You can't even. You can sometimes not even watch the Mets when you're in Philly.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
And I can't even watch them when they're on prime time, like Sunday night baseball. I'm like,
Oh, you don't get that either?
well, on the MLB Network app.
Oh.
It's a prime time game. It's like you can't get anything. I'm like,
Are you in a weird spot where you get blacked out from New York as well?
No, I watch all the New York games, but I don't watch anything
that's right.
Philly.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you get Yes Network where you are too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes. Well, you can watch that. You probably can't watch it on the MLB app though, right?
No.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, that's the
have-
thing. It sucks about some of these other states where you're kind of in the middle of things.
But I have NBC Sports. I have all that stuff for the Phillies. Put the channel, blacked out. I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we talking about right here? I've been to Citizens Bank Park. Don't tell me it's empty. It's a packed stadium. Don't tell me that
The
we
lights
can't
work.
show it.
The lights are working.
Except for that one day that we were there that kept the Jumbotron was a complete mess.
Oh,
that day.
my birthday. Yeah, that was Bark at the Park. Now I didn't see a single dog in attendance. Those were clips from before.
Nah, it was the
Tony
one.
Khan was working the cameras that night.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about him later on with the WrestleMania.
Fuck that guy.
No, it was the one.
I'm in a very vulgar mood tonight. I hope there's no kids listening. I'm
Hello,
telling you
YouTube.
what, I'm not eating sugar, and I'm drinking a lot more water, and I'm
I might
drinking
have
my
to put
coffee
this.
black in the morning. So I'm
Oof, you're
the hair is
anti.
growing on my chest. My hair looks like actual shit because I haven't gotten a haircut in 2 months. And this MLB thing really pissed me off. Because I honestly want to watch Giants and Padres, but I also want to watch Yankees and Astros. And because I'm going to be in a shitty hotel room somewhere,
Well,
there's not going to be anything else to do. It's going to be raining in Seattle where I am.
well, here's the thing. Look at the schedule. The prime time, your first matchup, as you mentioned, it's in New
4
York.
o'clock game.
It's in New York, but it's not the Yankees. The Juan Soto thing. It's not that. It's the Mets. Their biggest signing was Severino, hosting Milwaukee. Don't give a shit about them.
It
to
should
be
be a
honest.
game. It should be on TV though. Like if you have a 1 o'clock game, it should be on, and they
Yeah.
don't even have it on.
The only thing that says TV
Well, do they
is
have
the
any
7 o'clock game. 7:30 game is on ESPN. Everything
Which
else
is this?
doesn't
This
have
is
it.
opening day.
This is opening day.
So you're looking at the 28th. Yeah, the 28th. I think they can only show so much because ESPN also has like McAfee's got to
that's
be
not
on
my
there with his fucking missing, sleeves and stuff. Roger's got to show his toe on the fucking.
Well,
hair.
he's suspended, by the way. He's not.
Well, he was on
the-
today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a special surprise guest.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
there's one game on that night. In fairness, they usually will throw like a 2:30 game on, and then they'll have
Just hear this out. Just hear this
yeah,
out.
Cubs Rangers. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
1 o'clock game. Mets hosts the Milwaukee. Don't give a shit. That's the very first. So already it's a bad start for me. I'm not watching this game.
Why don't they handpick opponents at the beginning of the year? Makes
got-
no sense.
You got 2 games at 3 o'clock right after that at the same time. East Coast feed on top of that, mind you. Baltimore hosting the Anaheim Angels, and then Philly hosting Atlanta, which is a great matchup. But you're throwing it at 3 o'clock. Cool, whatever. Then you got a handful of 4 o'clock games. Let me see. I think you said you might be in Kansas City.
Either KC or Seattle. By the way, there's 2 games at 7 o'clock opening day. So if ESPN wants to put either
Look at the premier
either of these
matchup.
games on,
You have Detroit. You have the Tigers versus the White Sox, Twins
boy.
versus Royals,
killing it.
Pittsburgh versus Miami,
Oh, can't wait to
and then
watch
here's
that.
here's the other 2 matches. Here's more. The Yankees at Houston is sandwiched in the 4 o'clock game, buried in there.
I think
San
that
Fran
might be a
hosting.
national TV game though.
It doesn't say yet.
It should be anyway.
San Fran on the road in San Diego, buried in that 4 o'clock slot.
That would be a
Otani,
TV worthy game, by the way.
Otani buried in there, hosting St. Louis, and then
Well, that's actually a good matchup, but
It
it
is,
should be
but
a TV game.
it should be like you said, 1, 4, 7, 10. 4
Yeah.
o'clock, 4 games. I already named 4 right off the bat, sandwiched in
yeah.
the 4 o'clock schedule.
Go
gives
ahead
a
and
shit
read
about
me
the
the
1
2
o'clock
7
game?
o'clock matchups, by the way.
There's only one 7 o'clock matchup, and that's on ESPN. And I get it because the Rangers are the defending champs.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong day, I think.
They're
I'm
hosting
sorry.
the Cubbies. Cool,
Oh, no, I got 2 here.
but we throw Oakland in what? What field are they playing in? Oakland is at the 10 o'clock
Oakland
game.
and the Guardians, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the
Seattle-
10 o'clock. Some dipshit on Twitter is from the West Coast and called it a 7 o'clock game.
And then, I don't know,
And then you got Seattle, Boston, which I might actually be at. So
which is
don't
not
make
a
fun of
bad-
that game
No, it's not a bad
because
match.
I'm
But what
excited
I'm
to watch
saying
George
is,
Kirby and Nick Pavetta.
what I'm saying is, you're right. Give me 4, 5 matchups, different times, and do it accordingly. Like
You can
fuck
even have it on multiple channels. You could have ESPN and ESPN2. Take your pick. Watch Yankees, Astros, or watch Mets and, I don't know, the Expos. Pick a team. People are starving for baseball. It's the only opening day that anybody cares about. And respectfully, football is obviously always going to be king. But opening night in football is not as big of a deal sport-wide as opening day in baseball. Teams are playing 3. I know every year the Phillies play their home opener Thursday, 3 o'clock. Every year it's been that way since, except for COVID. Obviously, 2020 is weird. It's been that way for like 10 years.
Right.
And I know, okay, the third Thursday of March or whatever is going to be the Phillies are going to play the Braves, which the last 15,000 years feels like they've only played them in the home opener, or they're going to play some shitty team like the Reds or the Nationals or something. Still, it's they have the lineups, the players stand on the baselines, they bring the big flag onto the field, they have a flyover. It's the first time all these places are seeing their new players. They get to see Otani on the field. They get to see, in the Phillies case, literally nobody on the field season. The Mets, they can roll out their new Japanese player that Steve Cohen paid for, or these teams can show the big prospect that comes up. Anthony Volpe's debut was huge last year. He got the biggest ovation of the Yankees last year outside. And the places that care about baseball are going to watch this. And it's a shame that they don't know how to market their stars, show the games on prominent TV times. It makes no sense to me. None. And I understand that they do have. It's not when I say, hey, just say Fox, go F yourself. Take Family Guy reruns off. We're going to put the baseball. I know that there's money involved. And I know there's different things that have to, I don't know exactly the ins and outs, but you got to flex out, everybody loves Raymond, whatever's on TV, The Voice. I don't watch network TV very much, but whatever's on at 1:00 on a Saturday, I'm sure nobody's giving a shit about. It might actually at that point be the UFL because I think they have Fox and or ESPN, but still, nobody's watching that shit. Just put it on FS1 and give us a real game on Fox. It just, fuck off, MLB. If any league doesn't deserve to be loved, that is universally loved by its most hardcore fans, it's that one. I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship where all I do is give my time and money, and I get a 3 months. Cool. I hate it. It makes and it sucks because it doesn't suck for you or I because we have access to whatever game we want to watch, whether it be one of those illegal Chinese streaming sites. My friends log in or my friends log in with the MLB app. Like there's different ways. There are different means to watch, these games, but the average viewer, like God forbid, if you weren't home, your father wants to watch baseball for the day. He wakes up, 10:30 on a Saturday. He goes, oh, cool, can't wait to watch baseball at 1:00. Oh, The Rock is in a football stadium that has 6,000 people in it. Is that AJ McCarron? Oh, I guess I'll go grocery shopping. And then then you're going to forget baseball even exists. You're not even going to watch the 4:00 game because you're just going to assume there's none on.
It's poorly marketed.
Makes sense. Make it make sense. And I know you. I'm not putting it on you, and I'm also not directing anger. Make it make sense to me. It makes no fucking sense. All right, what do you want to talk about?
Well, here's one last thing. I know Ohtani is going to stay on the West Coast, and you mentioned they don't really market Trout. Ohtani's for a casual person who now knows who Ohtani is because of the whole circus it was on the offseason.
Yeah.
You're going to see him at 4:00 on a Thursday. Right in the middle of a 9 to 5, right? The next time you want to see him is Friday at 10 p.m. on the East Coast feed. Which,
in fairness, might be on MLB Network. They always do those RSNs where they, yeah.
But we know how MLB Network is. If you're a subscriber, if you live in that area, you probably won't be watching it.
Yeah, and in fairness, like I have like coworkers who are somewhat into sports, and like if my mother wants to watch Ohtani and doesn't feel like texting me or calling me on a given day and asking, "Hey, Rob, how do I get it on TV?" She's gonna try to find it on TV and have no idea where to find Ohtani because he's either not gonna be on there or he's gonna be on there at 10:00 on MLB Network that costs you $14.99 a month or whatever.
Give me a red zone type of MLB package.
That would be fun.
That doesn't
in
black
fairness,
out. Give me some personality. Give me someone who knows what the hell they're talking about. Give me passing on a Manning cast. Give me something.
On a stool because he's short.
Use the Latino community. Latinos are a big part of this sport. The Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans, the Mexicans. Yeah. You name it all in there.
That's the market you want to tap into.
Do a simulcast with that. Market that. My household is filled with Hispanic television on 24/7. I can tell you how many times on one hand I've seen MLS, not Spanish, Mexican, American soccer, NFL, hockey, for God's sakes. I can't even remember the last time I saw an MLB matchup unless they're promoting it on the network ESPN because it's a big game. There's no like, hey, this coming Thursday, baseball's back. Boom, boom, boom. You don't see none of that. I have to tell my dad, hey, by the way, today's opening day. Here's the channel. I have to go to work, but these are the channels. Find the game you're looking for and have at it. He wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's a footnote. Yeah, I guess that they have to cater to their audience. Like, First Take is not going to talk about baseball unless it's Ohtani or Bonds or whatever. And Stephen A., I'll give him credit. He did a good job talking about Bonds too. I think passing last year, and Russo was on there yapping about, I don't even know.
He yaps.
Chris Speaker or whatever, Ty Cobb's little brother. But the and we can move on after this. The market you should tap into. You saw it in the WBC. Hispanic fans down in obviously primarily in Florida, and there's some in LA too. They care about baseball. If you promote it and make it easier for them to watch, it's good. And I think MLB Network, to their credit, does a decent job with the fans like us. if you were here on like a Friday night, there's nothing on. There's it's July, whatever. The Phillies are on, but they're
Right.
losing 6-1 to the Cubs against some rookie that's never pitched before. MLB Network, you throw it on, you got the guy Amsinger and DeRosa, whoever's on there. They will jump into games, go, oh hey guys, we got Otani's about to face Garrett Cole. We're gonna send it to Dodger Stadium, and they'll show those at bats. But there's no like such thing as a red zone. They'll show home runs here and there, but there's no like red zone type feel. It is hard because there's not like a tangible. When the ball crosses the 20, all of a sudden it's a threat. It's like
Right.
you can't just show every at bat for every power hitter, but there should be a better way of watching, maybe like a command center type of thing where there's 8 games on the screen and you can kind of choose which one you want to watch.
I mean, they do, but
Yeah,
it gets blacked out if you pick one, which is stupid and asinine. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I think YouTube has a thing where you can watch multiple games at once, but I think it chooses the order of them or chooses to be portrayed on the screen. I don't know how it works. One of my coworkers, I think, has YouTube TV. I would have to ask him.
Ironically, the one sport that cannot afford to go to streaming is baseball. You're gonna lose a good portion of your audience. You
You're
can't
gonna lose
even.
75% of your TV audience.
Oof.
I'm not paying. I'm telling you right now, I will not pay for Hulu. I will not pay for Netflix, OnlyFans, wherever they want to put their games. I'm not.
Offense would be bad.
But if I have to jump through hoops to watch the Phillies, man, respectfully, I'll listen
go
on
in
the radio.
person.
I'll listen to Fransky in LA,
Or just go in person.
or I'll watch MLB Network and hopefully they show me the highlights. Oh, should be wrong. Oh, I don't know. Kyle Schwarber struck out, but the ball got past the catcher. A run scored. Phillies are up 1-0. Oh, let's show the highlight. And whatever. I'm not jumping through hoops to watch baseball. I'm not jumping through hoops to watch any sport, really.
That's a nice segue into our next one because you already are red hot.
Another-
Here comes
Yeah.
in the case of Cutter Gauthier versus Philadelphia Flyers. He is gone.
I'm going to fucking spontaneously combust.
Prime
This is-
scumbag of the year right here already in 2024.
Should have done
He's
this when I was hyped up on Big Macs and French fries a couple weeks ago, not when I'm eating rice cakes and unflavored yogurt.
But you have more energy.
So, a lot of the information on this was kind of covered Tuesday. A lot of it, if you don't care about hockey, it's still kind of interesting.
Right.
I'm trying to think of another example of sport maybe where a player just like outright refused to. Eli Manning's probably a good example, although he told them not to draft him ahead of time. The only other example of this really happening was Eric Lindros where a player just outright refused to play for a team that drafted him and told him not to. Gauthier told the Flyers that he was ready to be a Flyer. He was going to be drafted by them. He was going to be, this is the Flyer way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he spends 3 years at Boston College and then doesn't want to come up. The Flyers apparently last offseason were actually willing to sign him to a contract, contrary to what Elliot Friedman, who was a very journalist, I'm not saying he got it wrong. He may have just had a lousy source. He reported the other night that the Flyers wanted to leave him in college for an additional year, which would be this season currently. So last offseason, they weren't ready to bring him in, and he wanted to sign. And because they didn't want to give him money, he was like, "All right, expletive them. I'll show them. I'm Boston who likes Kevin Hayes." And it actually came out today. I forget who it was. It might have been Jeff Merrick. Christ, who's a guy? I don't know the guy from NHL Network. I forget who it was. Somebody reported today that it was actually the opposite. Cutter wanted to stay in college, I guess, because he didn't have any interest in being here for whatever other reason. And Danny Briere it was Danny Briere. He said in his statement today that the Flyers actually wanted to sign him last year before camp, and he said, "I have plans to go. I'm going to go to school. I don't want to be a Flyer." And this has been like a back and forth thing. He was, then he wasn't, then he was, now he's not. And now he's on some shitty podcast run by some chick that works for the Ducks, and he's talking about, my statement today is that I'm not going to have a statement or something like that, or my news today is that there is no. The quote. This kid's such a fucking pompous ass. He is, and I cannot wait to unveil later in the episode. By the way, don't tease it, but we're going to do a top 10 with honorables, Philadelphia villains. Maybe by then I will have died of heat exhaustion, but he is. You cannot be a bigger, more pompous piece of garbage than this kid who has accomplished nothing.
Already.
And for all intents and purposes, is a one-trick pony and a one-way player. And I'm not saying he's going to be a bad player, but he's only got one skill. When you're Kyle Schwarber and you only hit home runs, you can't act like you're Willie Mays, as a 5-tool player. This kid doesn't pass. He doesn't back check. He doesn't get into the corner. He's a tiny boy. He plays the wing. He's not even big enough or responsible enough to play center, which is why Danny Briere took shots at him in the press conference the other day when he said we traded a winger, which for folks like yourself or anybody that doesn't follow attention to hockey, that's like saying a guy is trying to be a starter, keep calling reliever, or a guy's trying to be a wide receiver and you keep calling him a punt returner. Like it's a subtle shot,
I like
and
it.
it's one of those deals. And Danny Breer is not a classless guy by any means. He's actually one of the few people I actually trust when he speaks. And same thing with Keith Jones. And those two guys are just like, man, F this guy. And I am so happy. I want to focus on the positives from this trade, not this douchebag kid from Boston who's buddies with Hazy.
Dude,
Yeah,
he was loved.
Cuddy and Hazy.
Yo, Drexler was loved in his debut. I think he got an assist.
He took
Had an
Provorov's
ovation.
number 2.
Gotta love it. I think he had didn't he have the dog mask on in the locker room?
Yeah,
Is that him?
yeah. They've yet to post the video of him barking, but
I love it.
apparently he they asked him about the game. He gave a lot of good press conference or in the interview after.
I mean, Cutter in that interview, he did mention though he wanted to clarify Kevin Hayes had nothing to do with him wanting to be out of Philadelphia. It was a stupid report that was misunderstood, I believe. So he just cleared it up. But Kevin Hayes, had
Anthony Sanfilippo is about as how can I say this politely? He's about as reliable as my Pablo Sanchez bobblehead that I have on the desk here. He's a podcaster. He's us. That's like one of us saying, "Hey, I have reasonable that Patrick Mahomes told Jalen Hurts to fumble the ball in the Super Bowl." Like that's like us making some bullshit up. I understand he connected the dots, and I don't think that Hayes's fingerprints are not completely. If you put the black light on, you'll see his fingerprints somewhere because they communicate. One is the mentor for the other, and Kevin Hayes is the most recent. Until recently, I think Mike Vecchione. There was another kid signed with the Jimmy Vesey. There are other guys, notably Boston College guys or Boston University guys, that were drafted by a team, committed to them, wore the jersey at the draft, and then refused to sign. Kevin Hayes was drafted by the Blackhawks in 2010, 11, somewhere around there. Did not sign. Technically as an amateur free agent, signed with the Rangers. And so I think that there are connections you can draw here, but to outright say he was involved, very unprofessional and irresponsible for Anthony Sanfilippo. And I'm so glad John.
Your mic went off.
What part? What part did you not hear?
I'm so glad John
Tortorella called him out in the press conference last night.
He's been great.
He's been a breath of fresh air, man. He's adapted well, and he's awesome. I love him.
Love it. Love to see it. All right, where do we move on?
But we will be talking Philadelphia sports villains later this evening. By the way, news just popped out. Popped out as if it were born. Gerard Mayo is one of the favorites to take Belichick's job in New England, which actually perfectly ties into the next segment anyway.
Alabama head coach Nick Saban.
Oh, I thought you were dropping news.
Retired. Now, is this a full retirement or just a way to get out of the contract, take a year off, and then come back as a different head coach for a different program? For a different program.
If you're asking me, I think truly it's him stepping away from coaching. I think he is a family man. He's a good man. He's not one of those scumbag coaches like Ed Orgeron, who kind of was a douche. Yeah, or him. I think if he's retiring, he's not going to all of a sudden pop up, coaching the Carolina Panthers next year. I think there would have been whispers about, okay, he's stepping away from Bama. There's a chance he might take the Giants job or like one of those deals. I think he's 71, I believe. He's stepping away or in his 60s, somewhere around there. Actually, I think he's either 61 or 71. I don't know. But he's stepping away from coaching. I think there's a chance he maybe becomes like a senior advisor for a franchise. Maybe he becomes like a
72.
Like an advisor for a football team, and maybe he stays on at Bama in some capacity. But I think this is his way of stepping away. And to be honest with you, I think he might make more money at the end than he would at Bama anyway. I think he would be perfect when his Bama Crimson Tide were not in the national title. I think it was like 10 years ago. It was the Oregon Florida State maybe game. I forget which game it was, but whoever Florida State played, I forget who it was. No, Oregon lost to I think Oregon lost to Ohio State. Whatever year it was, the year that he lost to Ohio State and Ohio State won the championship, I think it was 14. He actually joined the ESPN panel.
Yeah.
And he was awesome as an analyst. And I think if you put him, maybe game day's too childish for him, but if you put him on one of those shows, I think he'd be fantastic. He would be a good way for them to segue Corso and into another former coach. without the shtick, but I think he is so good,
We
and
got
I think
McAfee
that.
there.
But yeah, you got McAfee, you got Herbstreit, you got Reese Davis, you got Dez. If you want to dump Corso or maybe have him quietly retire or even announce his retirement, Saban's the guy to step in. He one of the smartest people in sports, one of the best speakers in sports, one of the most motivational people, and I think a guy a lot of people respect. You know how many times I've seen people the last couple of days say, "I hate Bama, but boy, do I love Saban," or screw Alabama, but this guy's great.
Right, right. I mean, it was shocking when I saw it. To be
Yeah,
honest, I was like, Saban retiring? My antenna went up and like, oh, he's probably going to the NFL. But the more news broke about it, and I read a little bit of it, and I heard from other people speak, and this is the first time I'm hearing you speak on it. Really, yeah, I think he's pretty much done coaching
yeah,
wise for now, at least. And he's probably gonna do the ESPN or just be a family man for a while,
yeah.
and then take a job when they need you.
I think
But
there would be
he's well off. Let's just say that he's good. He's set.
he's a very smart man too. There are very few people that I actually enjoy hearing talk about sports that aren't me. Um, Chris Long's one of them. The Mannings are fun. I think honestly, if they had some sort of a football show on ESPN, I'm not paying for Plus, but if they had some sort of like a show on ESPN where if Bill decides to not go back into coaching, Belichick and Saban just sit there and break down tape on, I don't know, draftees or something,
Yeah.
and what they see in quarterbacks, that would be fantastic. Their dynamic is great. Saban's great. And I think because of how it went in the NFL the first time, he probably doesn't want to revisit that because it's easier to recruit guys every couple years and bring in the top, receiver every year and the top corner every year than it is to, get 53 grown men to buy in here and then deal with a salary cap and different things like that.
Right, right.
And ownership, as we know, it's well documented. He wanted Drew Brees when he was with the Dolphins, and ownership said no. Why would broken quarterback when we can sign shit ass Dante Culpepper, who's also injured? And then Saban was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go take the Bama job."
Yeah.
Now that was it Mike Shula got fired, whatever. And he had like 16 losses in 15 years or something like that. It's absurd. He's going to be the GOAT of college football.
Yeah, he's
if he's not already.
199 wins, 16 losses in his career from 2008 to this year or last year to 2023. Yeah. That is impressive. 6 national titles on top of that. He's first ballot all the way. There's no shot.
Here's a statistic, by the way. I may have sent this to you yesterday. Maybe you actually sent it to me. Of all the players that stayed at Bama for 4 years under Saban, every single one of them won a championship. That's unheard of. Dude. And look at some of the quarterbacks he won with. Obviously, Mac Jones, Tua, A.J. McCarron. I don't remember if
A.J. McCarron.
If McElroy won one.
Probably did.
He may have. I think they had. I'm drawing a blank on the guy who had the John Parker Wilson. They had so many bad quarterbacks. Blake Sims, Jalen Hurts. I mean, they had a lot of bad college quarterbacks that wound up either not amounting to anything in the NFL or played better in the NFL than they did in college.
Right, right. I saw another stat that Nick Saban has more first-round players that went into the draft than he has losses in his entire time.
Yeah, I think it's 44 first-round picks. His coaching tree is absurd too. Kirby Smart, Brian Dable's on there. I believe Adam Gase is on there. Dabo, who was one of the rumored replacements, Sarkisian. Bill O'Brien even worked for him at one point. A lot of really good coaches on his staff, up and down.
Shout out to Nick Saban, wonderful career. He will be missed. Saban. And did you see already Deion's son tweeting?
Oh, Shadur, yeah, he wants the Bama guys to come over. Well, they just lost the number 9 recruit in the nation. It's a wide receiver. He decommitted from Bama, and I mean, I'm intrigued to see who replaces him. Dan Lanning was the first guy that came to everybody's mind. I think you asked me he was the first but at this point, that might even be a lateral move. Bama team where you got to kind of build yourself, going from Oregon to Bama. I think Sarkisian is the guy. I think maybe should be considering Dabo. Obviously, I wouldn't even rule out what's his name. What's that guy's name? Franklin from Penn State.
Ooh.
And maybe, Harbaugh is definitely not going to take it, but there are coaches out there that might make sense to take that job. I mean, don't be surprised in a couple of years if somebody like G.J. Kinney even gets a look as like a big program head coach.
Right. All right. On to potential head coaches in the NFL.
Yes.
Man, do we have a slate of them? You want to start it off? The big fish right here, the big kahuna.
Yeah. Luckily, news broke before the pod. And we didn't have to say it's possible this guy could be. So Bill Belichick is the top coaching candidate out there. There was a rumor actually earlier today that an NFC East team, if they lose in the first round, could fire their coach. Wonder who that is. And Belichick is on their list. I actually don't think that's the Eagles. I think that's more likely Dallas. Yeah, because I honest to God, and I stand by this. It's not like a thing. It's not me trying to prove a point. I really don't think they would hire a guy they can't get. So you can kiss Vrabel goodbye. You can kiss Belichick goodbye. You can kiss Harbaugh goodbye. If the Eagles fire their coach, they're going to hire some nerd with glasses that was the offensive coordinator for like Stanford or something. But yeah, Belichick is available. Mike Vrabel, who was arguably the best head coaching candidate available the last years out there. Jim Harbaugh, possibly. Antonio Pierce, who apparently got an interview with the Giants to be the DC. Arthur Smith, if you want him. Ben Johnson, who is actually the guy who's been Detroit Lions offensive. Mike McDonald, Baltimore's DC. Raheem Morris, another McVay guy. Don Martindale, who likely will become a DC, but he's leaving the Giants. Gerard Mayo, who probably will take over for Belichick. Brian Flores, good year in Minnesota as their defensive coordinator. Lou Anarumo, a lot of people like him with Cincinnati. Aaron Glenn is the Detroit defensive coordinator. I don't know why he's on. Mike Caldwell just got let go by the Jags. Todd Monken is the Baltimore OC, and then you got Spags, Steve Wilkes, and maybe even three guys I think maybe could get fired, which would be Sirianni, Robert Saleh, and Dennis Allen.
Who's Dennis
And
Allen?
maybe he is the coach of the Saints, who the players already don't respect.
Yeesh.
If they're changing plays in the huddle.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well, that's Jameis, who also has nothing to lose.
what a guy! What a guy!
Yeah.
That's a
It's a
plethora
good
of
list.
names there. It's a good list, but I can already see a handful not going to be here just because of the control factor that has to happen here in Philadelphia.
So, also worth noting, I think Schefter even said a week or two ago, expect a lot of openings because the average is like 5 or 6 a year, and I think last year so he thinks the law of averages would lead us. We have 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 openings. So, and some of these are pretty good jobs too. I mean, Atlanta's got a fun team. Vegas on the come up. I mean, if the Eagles end up shit-canning their coach, the Jets maybe.
Chargers.
Chargers obviously are they're the. Maybe if Dallas, if they get embarrassed in the first round, maybe they dump. You never.
I would, if I were the Eagles or anybody else, I'd call Washington. How much do you want for Bieniemy? Because clearly you're not giving him the head coaching job. He's the assistant head coaching job / the offensive coordinator. You're definitely not giving him the job.
Technically speaking, you can hire him from them because it would be a vertical move, not a lateral move. So
Right.
you can trade for him if I think technically too, but you can just hire him straight up. I think his ship has sailed. He's at his 4 years of attention, and now that he kind of stunk it up with Washington the second half of the year, I think he's better than what Washington was this year. But I don't know. He's more creative than whoever's.
Right.
That's for darn sure. He actually played here. I'm pretty sure. I think he played for Reed in like '99. He was a fullback.
Potential openings, as you already alluded to, maybe Philadelphia with Sirianni, maybe Saleh with the Jets, New Orleans. But also, did you catch the Brian Johnson being courted by Carolina Panthers?
Respectfully, and I don't mean to say this.
I don't believe it. I can't
disrespectfully in his way. That's a Rooney Rule interview, I think, where you have to hire somebody of color. So, unfortunately, honestly, go focus on finding another job. Well, we'll take it from here, bud. If the defensive players want to call the plays, why not just have fucking Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown call the plays on offense for all I care?
Shoot, I would make a call for Sean Desai if I was a team.
I actually, to be honest with you, I would give him another shot next year. It's kind of hard to demote somebody and then promote him again, but I actually kind of like Desai, and I thought he was okay.
I think he's done.
It's sure as hell better than Patricia dropping Reddick in coverage every play. The openings there are a couple juicy ones. Washington could be fun. Atlanta, I think, is the most interesting. Tennessee, if you want to maybe, I think, off the top of my head, Tennessee could be a good spot for Ben Johnson. Vegas could be fun. They should just keep Pierce though if they didn't learn.
Honestly.
Carolina, they're going to they're going to hire a guy that doesn't want to go else. Chargers are the big one. I think that's where Harbaugh likely to go. And then, Seattle, New England. And if Philly becomes available, that's a prime opportunity, but it's not going to be a big name, I don't think. They're not getting I pick on them. They're not getting like a Glenn Rivers or a Nick Nurse to come in here, or a big manager like that. Or like a manager like Gerard guy. They're going to go hire, John Wickstand from, Kennesaw State.
God, imagine if Pence Boyd gets another head coaching job. It's the
I hope he
Eagles.
does. I hope he goes to
The Philadelphia Eagles, I'm saying. You would lose your mind.
Oh, I wouldn't rule out McDaniels even going to New England.
Oh, yeah. What did you saw that
Wasn't he there?
he was there?
I think that may have had something to do with Belichick maybe telling him, hey, this might be my last game. Or Matthew Slater also. That was his last game. And he was a beloved Patriot forever. Him and his 7 tackles.
Yeah, right.
Tim McManus, for what it's worth, said on Burst 24/7, which is a podcast, the Eagles moving on from Sirianni seems to be in play. I would hire Vrabel over the phone, honestly. Hey, who do you want to be your offensive coordinator? Because whether you want to or not, you're going to be an Eagles head coach. We'll match any offer you get plus $1.
I think he'll be the defensive coordinator for New England. I think it's going to be a New England resurgence.
I think he gets a head coaching job. He's too good not to. I would love him with Vegas, but I think honestly New England should just promote Mayo to DC instead of being the linebackers coach. And I think Vrabel's the perfect guy to go replace Belichick. I think he'd be perfect here. His energy matches the city, and I think people would respect him. And I think he'd be awesome here, but they'll never do it.
I don't think a former New England coach will be on a team that New England lost to in the Super Bowl.
Well,
I think it's just
hasn't happened. Hasn't happened before.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. There's one moron here who coached for that Patriots team. Well, New England beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl when he was there. I think he caught a pass that game actually. Vrabel.
He did actually.
He was at DC for the Texans, and they were good there. So I mean, he's probably the most coveted guy here. I think Belichick ends up with Washington. We can do a projection list next week. Let's jump into.
It's interesting.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's interesting though. It's a lot of games out here, and there's more to come when the playoffs, as teams start getting bounced out.
Yeah, for all we know, McVay could retire. There's been rumors about that.
Yeah,
him maybe leaving. I think when Stafford's gone, he's gone.
I can't wait for Tuesday morning.
What's your Week 18 takeaways? I gave mine on 2. Floor is yours.
All right. To me, game of the week had to be Saturday night. Colts and Texans shootout, baby, in Indy. Of course, questionable play call. It was, but it wasn't. A flat to the backup running back. Forgive me, I don't know his name, but they had Jonathan Taylor gassed.
Goodson, I think is the kid's name.
Goodson.
That poor kid was in tears after the game too.
Yeah, it's a big moment, but it's not his entire fault. Yeah, he dropped it, but Minshew, baby, you got to throw that in stride, not behind him. Minshew was good for that, throwing a weird pass at the wrong time. It's just bad news bears there.
What I tell you about Minshew, best gig in sports, be good a little bit, just good enough to get a job, and then fall short every year.
Right.
But also, Goodson was open. It was the right play call. Taking Taylor off the field didn't really matter because the kid was open by a scheme anyway. It's just Minshew had to kind of throw it around a defender and made a bad throw.
Because they were reeling. Texans were on their heels. They were getting destroyed. And they missed the point after, so it became a 6-point game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Next one, Titans, baby. We already talked about it. Vrabel's out. Played with some pride. That team played hard. That should tell you as a head coach, as a team.
Yeah.
This team was dead in the water. They played hard on the last game of the year, knocking off a division. They played hard for Vrabel. They loved it. And it's apropos that the Jaguars get eliminated in the same fashion they eliminated the Colts on Week 18. Win and you get in. And they fall. I guess they needed to win and some other things to do,
and they beat the Titans last year on that Saturday night. I think I had money on that. It was the first one that you and I directly had opposites in the TTP in the history of this podcast. I think you had Jags -6. I had Tennessee +6. Tennessee covered. The Jags won, but Tennessee covered that game. Also, just to add one little thing on the Titans thing, right. Ryan Tannehill said after the game get the DeAndre Hopkins. He said they're gonna get rid of me this offseason anyway. I want to get my. He made sure Hopkins got his reception incentive.
And I mean, hey, the incentives was a good play, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that. I was this close.
Yeah, I was close on Hopkins actually.
Shout out to the Jets defense putting a nice bow on the season, finishing it with the number 1 defense and eliminating the Patriots in Foxborough to 3 points, giving Belichick another big L at home to send him on his future endeavors. Big win for the Jets morale-wise.
That might
anyway.
that might be the biggest reason to keep Saleh. He's a defensive head coach, and they had the best defense in the league this year.
Yeah.
And that's also what their first win against the Patriots in I think 7 years.
In
It was
Foxborough.
like it was either 13 consecutive losses or 23 consecutive. It was a crazy number. They haven't beaten them in forever.
That was their Super Bowl. I'll just say it at that. That's their
Yeah,
Super
it was a
Bowl.
terrible game too. I don't know if you watched any of it. It was
No,
snowing. It was like, what was the score? Like 6-3,
9-3, I think.
9-3.
I don't know.
There was a 9-0 game and 9-3 game.
Something like that.
Terrible.
However, Jets will do Jet things. They have the number 1 defense and they have the number 32 ranked offense. So a win and a loss across the board. As you mentioned, Saints destroying Arthur Smith's career and the Falcons' chances of getting into the playoffs in a blowout. Came out flat. Talk about coming out flat. 48-17. 7 of those 48 came at the final play of the game.
We already hung 41. What's 7 more?
In victory formation, famous Jameis in the offense said, F it, we'll call an audible, give it to Jamal Williams, who had 17 touchdowns last year for Detroit. Didn't have one yet, and they gifted him. So I guess I like it, but it's kind of low class. And of course, Shannon Sharp and others around the media burying Jameis Winston, burying Dennis Allen. Both should be gone. It was low-hanging fruit, just all that good stuff.
Yeah.
What else do I have? As you mentioned, Raiders end a beautiful turnaround season at 8-9. After firing McDaniels, thought it was the end of the world, and then they rally back, almost had a shot to go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
As you said, they should keep him. Another news, Carson Wentz continuing to own the 49ers in a victory, 21-20.
4-0.
4-0,
against
baby.
the Niners his career. Yep.
He owns them, and they secured
Oh,
six.
you know what?
Six,
So
I was
I was trying to figure out what the 4th win was. So he beat him here in a blowout in 2017.
Sure.
He beat him in 2020, the game in San Francisco with no fans. And then they had that, I don't know if you remember this. There was an awful rain game on Sunday Night Football, and he was a Colt. And they beat the Niners that night, too. On Sunday Night Football, it was 2 years ago. I took the under before the game, and I got mushed by the third quarter.
Oh, brother. I mean, Carson Wentz, he's back.
Owns the Niners. Did you see that he ran the ball? He ran the ball 17 times.
I didn't see any of the highlights. I'm curious to see that, though. He's back.
Yeah.
He's back.
Good for him.
Yeah, for real. Dallas proving doubters wrong. They can win on the road, blowing out Washington 38-10.
Still haven't been a good team, though. That's the problem.
Eagles shitting the bed again on the road against the Giants. You can say they milked it, they quit on the team, or they were focused on Tampa. Still no excuse. Giants are a sucky ass team, and they hang 28 on you, whatever it was. 24-0 at one point.
You moved them back in the draft at least.
Yeah, I guess.
Shout out Quez Watkins, finally had a good game.
Jesus, about time. And lastly, a thriller in Miami, but poor Miami. You win, you get the 2nd seed, you're in nice home territory with the sun and the heat. You drop this game, now you got to go to Arrowhead when the temperature is going to be a high of 9 degrees, low of -3.
The wind chill
13 in the cold weathers.
Something like that. He's like Goff. Wind chill of -30 potentially in Kansas City with snow, by the way. So dangerously low temperature in KC.
And their offense is shot. Their defense is shot with injuries.
They're worn out.
Fucked. I'm curious to see who's going to score more points, Miami or Philadelphia. Because the way Philadelphia is,
or
with
Pittsburgh,
all their people,
Christ.
Pittsburgh, Jesus. Like you said in the Tuesday 10, anybody else, I would have had the Colts get in on a loss than the Steelers. This is the second time the Steelers are in the playoffs, and it's basically a bye week.
And they're missing TJ Watt, which leads us perfectly into the picks.
Right.
So we got 2 games on Saturday. We got a 4:30 game. Houston getting the 4 playoffs is like a tale as old as time. It's almost like the Lions getting the every play in the world. Houston is the only, I believe, there are two home dogs this week, Houston and Tampa Bay. Cleveland's -2 in Houston with a total of 44.5. Joe Flacco is the favorite according to DraftKings Sportsbook to have the most passing yards this weekend in the NFL, which is very exciting. Who do you like in this? Because this is actually going to be a pretty fun matchup. I'm looking
It
forward.
is.
I'm actually chance, but
Your audio was cutting out at the end there.
no one cares what I have to say.
And it's gonna be indoors, thankfully. Yeah, give me the Browns. I like Joe Flacco. He should be
Me too.
the comeback player of the year. You saw where DeMar Hamlin went to donate more stuff. He's like, yeah, I'm packed this in. I gotta win something here.
He wasn't even dressed for. Well, he was dressed, but he wasn't. He wasn't.
He barely played all season.
I'm gonna
come back from dead.
Also, I'm picking Cleveland too. The story writes itself. Flacco back in face that
Revenge tour.
in order for that to happen. He's Saturday, 8:15 in Kansas City. Negative double-digit wind could be dangerously cold. Kansas City -4.5 against Miami. These are FanDuel afternoon. 44.5 total. Who do you like here?
Give me a shocker. Give me Dolphins. I don't trust Kansas City. This could be where they implode. They're already talking about Kelsey had to come out and say, "I'll be back for the 2024 season," because he's been hinting at retirement. He had to come out and say this now. So you can tell that this is weighing on him, weighing on everybody else of his commitment to the game. We'll see. And there's no receiver. Who do you trust other than Kelsey? Exactly.
I trust Spags, honestly. I mean, to stop that Miami off. I'm going to go Kansas City in this one. We're going to differ here. I just think Miami in the cold, and even with Tyreek Hill going back home, I said on Tuesday there's no storylines for the AFC. Great one. Tyreek Hill back home, Chiefs, and probably be the best receiver in the game if Tua can even throw. The next game is going to be Sunday at 1. Buffalo, speaking of freezing cold weather, there, negative degrees there. They're 10-point favorites at home against the 36.5 is expecting 20 to 40 mile-an-hour winds in Buffalo, by the way.
I'm shocked.
Which might even make it difficult for Mason Rudolph. Well, he's got a good arm, but it's going to be tough for these quarterbacks to throw.
The running game, baby. Cook has been good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's -10. Should be like -1,000 at this point.
Yeah. Weird wrinkle here. The first 3 games chronologically are the AFC, the NFC, that being a thing in the past. It's not, I would imagine, but it's just how it worked out. This might be the the Peacock game is the Kansas City game. Peacock.
What a fall!
I'm gonna go Buffalo here. You're going Buffalo as well. You don't even have to tell me.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh sucks.
Yeah.
Let's go with Sunday at 4:30. We got Green Bay in Dallas. Dallas is a 7 favorite. Obviously the big story here might be his facing Green Bay. I can't imagine it. 2 years ago. First high-profile game against Bay, ahead of schedule. Fun game here, but Dallas is the favorite total. Our second highest total. We have 2 indoor games on.
Give me Dallas here. I would like to see Jordan Love light it up on Dallas, but Dallas at home, that crowd is just a different animal. That home field advantage is crazy.
And they have arguably one of the best, probably the best defense in the playoffs, you could argue.
Right.
Next up, we have probably the main event of the week, the McVay, Goff, Stafford. This is like a wrestling storyline almost. Yes. The quarterback I didn't want, the quarterback that you guys loved but had to leave, the coach that stole your quarterback, the coach that stuffed your coach into a locker. Los Angeles Rams heading to
the number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks on opposite teams, Goff and Wentz, are not facing each other, but
yeah, true.
That's also a little wrinkle in there.
That's a fun wrinkle, yeah.
How jealous will Wentz see? Like, damn, the guy who picked in front of me is starting in a playoff. I'm backing off.
Oh my
Stafford.
God, it writes itself. Stafford gets hurt. Wentz steps in.
Oh,
beats Goff. Oh baby, this is the game where I think the most money is on the dog. I think taking the Rams than the Lions, I would imagine. If that moves to 3.5, an easy hammer. But it's -3, highest total 55. Who do you like here?
Give me Detroit. Goff came out and said the chip is going to be forever on his shoulder for that trade.
I respect him. I actually really like Jared
But
Goff.
he's a liability in the playoffs. We've seen it. He's a liability.
Yeah. And then the Monday night game,
You
the
going
Eagles
Lions?
and the yeah, I'm going actually no, I'm sorry, I'm going Rams.
Ooh.
My if I could figure out how to do it, Lions be go Lions first quarter money line. And that it's the get in price for this game is twice as high as the next high at $600 to get into this game, probably higher, or maybe it's dropped. But
Jeez.
those fans are going to be excited to playoff since Stafford the first time they won the division, I think ever, right?
I think
That
so.
division at least.
Yeah.
So this is there's going to be a lot of juice in excuse me, a lot of juice in that building. Those fans will be tailgating for 12 hours at that point. That's going to be the fans are going to be. I think the Lions go right down the field and score the first possession. But then things kind of stabilize, and the offense, genius of McVay, Puka, and Logan Paul and Stafford take over at that point forward. And I think the Lions kind of deplete themselves and shoot their. I think there will be at least one backbreaking turnover. Derek, stamp it.
Yeah, that's guaranteed almost.
And I'm not counting like fourth quarter, you're losing, he throws a pick. I'm talking backbreaking in the moment. They need a score. They have momentum before having fun. But yeah, respectfully, give me the Rams as much as I want Detroit win, and as much as I need Detroit to win for my preseason predictions.
Right.
Eagles Bucks. Eagles -3, 43.5. Tampa. This is the Joe Buck Troy Aikman game. As you remember, 2 years two were audibly upset that they didn't have the Dallas game. In the Bucks, the Eagles. A little bit of a story here. Jalen Hurts facing the defensive coordinator 2021 Bucks, who said he doesn't know how to read a defense. Baker Mayfield did not practice, which is a developing story. He'll play, but
AJ didn't practice today either.
AJ didn't practice. A lot of Eagles are kind of
Darius Slay's
mouth
back.
like Darius Slay. Yeah, he's gonna get He might actually get adopted by Mike Evans on Monday. This will be a fun game. It's going to be a super annoying game. It'll be 8 o'clock and I'm 12 and pissed off the Eagles for blowing it. But I don't know how this is going to go. I'm interested to hear your pick. Don't do it.
The home team will win. That's all.
I appreciate the mush job. I'm gonna go with the Eagles because I believe in my heart of hearts they are better than the Buccaneers.
No, they are better on paper, but no.
Yeah, like you told me earlier, you haven't seen anything in the last month to tell you that they're gonna do anything other than lose this game.
I was just gonna say they haven't proven me anything. Patricia's somehow worse than Desai.
God, I keep forgetting he's here.
I mean, Baker Mayfield. And they played each other earlier in the season, and Baker Mayfield went off on them in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
This is at home now. There's no shot.
Well, they did kind of control them. That was actually
That's when they had confidence.
Start. Yeah.
When the Eagles had confidence. They have no confidence right now.
Yeah, and people were upset about that win, but I think they held the Bucs to 9 points. It was a good win for. I think Baker has definitely heated up since.
Right.
Let's jump into the TTP. I don't know how accurate these stats are. These are the ones I found. Game picks this year, you had 153 correct, 118 incorrect. TTP this year, 35-40, you have 45. Overall, 188 and 212 were the correct. You and I were close in prime time. You had 36 correct, 2 incorrect. I had 38 and 30 in prime. I've been forgetting and been kind of lazy and not, following the stats on each episode, but at least we compiled them now. Playoffs are where we make our money, however.
Right.
And
right.
I believe you let me start last week in the TTP, so I will respectfully let you start this week.
I appreciate that.
Unless you don't want to.
Give me lock Cowboys.
Ooh.
Seal it.
I'm gonna go. My lock will be Kansas City. Actually, I'm sorry. My lock will be Buffalo.
Yeah, that's a lock of the lock.
Sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say Kansas City, and then I realized I'd rather take the points with them. My dog, because it's the only one I have, is the Rams.
Gotcha.
Which by default, if we didn't make game picks and I usually try to follow the ones I make. Tampa would probably be my dog, but I'm gonna go with the Rams because they are the only dog I chose.
Gotcha.
At least I think so, anyway.
I have Dolphins as my dog.
Okay.
I think they're going in there.
appropriate,
and making a
considering
statement.
you picked them too. Yeah,
All right. Points.
sure.
Tampa +3.
I like that. I
There's no,
think the
there's no
Eagles
shot.
are either going to win small or get beat by a lot. I will go with
KC.
I'm going to lay the 4.5 with KC.
I like it. I like it.
Total is going to be hard. What's the Eagles total? 43. That's actually a good total for that game. Total for me. That's because I don't think Pittsburgh's going to score. I'm going to go under 36.5 in Pittsburgh Buffalo.
I'll have under 44.5 in the Cleveland Houston game.
I like that too as well. I think that'll be a good defensive battle. Cleveland's defense is much better at home, but they're facing a rookie quarterback, and I think that
And a
bodes
rookie
well
head
for them.
coach.
And also D'Amico Ryans is a great defensive head coach. So the Texans defense, maybe hopefully for their Anderson banged up last week.
Right.
They kept showing him on the sideline. Regrettably, haven't checked the injury report outside of Philly and Tampa, but who knows?
Right. All right. We're on the segment of the show where you're going to give us a fantasy booking idea for WrestleMania.
Yes. And then we'll follow up with our top Philadelphia sports villains. We can kind of run through that one fast. So this was an idea I had for the Tuesday 10 program. Some of this I kind of came up with on the fly, and part of it doesn't make as much sense. Where the hell's the paper?
Whoops.
Oh shit! Don't tell me I didn't print this. I'm a mark. Oh, here it is. All right, now I totally screwed this up. What segment are we on?
We're on 5.
Oh, that's 2. This is we just did the picks. Okay, there we go. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live, boys.
This is where if we had a producer, he would edit that out. Notice how it's a different font from the rest. Look at this. I'm Jim Cornette here with a binder of booking.
Jesus.
All right, so listen up.
Listening.
I am trying my best to not be super nerdy head here, but I'm actually kind of excited about this idea. So listen, I know the bloodline is a big deal, and it's been a story that is honest. I haven't been following wrestling for very much. I've only been watching the last 6 months, and I watch WrestleMania every year and Royal Rumble. But aside from that, I don't pay attention. I understand this has been kind of a thing for a while, and but no one cares anymore.
Yeah,
and Roman's reign, no pun intended, but Roman's reign, really all that legitimate, and because he wins all the high-profile matches by cheating, and unless you're going to be Eddie Guerrero, you can't win all your matches by cheating, and everybody literally hates Solo. So a meteor hits the Bloodline locker room. Solo dies. Ooh. No, I'm kidding. So unless they want him to pass Hogan, because Hard R Hogan can't be that high. If Roman wins it, 40, it's a nice whole number for a happy ending to the story. However, anybody that listens to the Tuesday 10,
yes,
this does not involve Roman Reigns in a championship match at WrestleMania. Here's why.
Oh.
So let's start with Monday night. I'm going to book both nights of WrestleMania, by the way. Monday night. Here's a fun way to look at this. Jinder Mahal beats Seth Rollins for the championship Monday. I thought this would make sense because he's so hated, but he might actually have a face because he dunked on Tony. The fans are actually going to like him. So I think more people are actually going to be on board with this idea. Plus, it frees up Seth Rollins to do things that don't revolve around the title because, to be honest with you, all of his stuff, the title is just kind of there. Right. This gives you a chance to have Jinder do a main event program with someone else. I keep saying program in honor of Nick Saban today.
Of course.
So Jinder beats Rollins on Monday. They can even shake hands. He can be a good guy. This kind of throws a wrench. Him being a dirty heel, but I like him because of the. I think there's a chance he might have to keep. So so I put here, he's so hated, however, I even cheer him because of the Tony Khan thing. So far, that's all it is. The 4-way at Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Roman loses the championship without being pinned.
Clean.
So Orton pins LA Knight. Because that'll tie into the next story I have. So Roman gets attacked by Rock. I don't care who it is. Find a way to build the Rock Roman thing. Maybe Roman spits on the Rock earlier in the program or something like that. I don't know. Build it to where Roman is taken out by the Rock. The champions heading into WrestleMania are now Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre wins the Royal Rumble. You turn him into
Jesus.
a good guy. He chooses Jinder Mahal because for some reason they're on the same. He doesn't want to fight Orton because Orton's ugly. And if you want to play up the idea that the deck is stacked against him, this way you can kind of push him more as a good guy. So you can kind of have the good guy going into WrestleMania as the Royal Rumble winner. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Play up a contract angle with him if you want to. I don't know if he's actually signed an extension in real life. But
Yeah.
you can say if he has, maybe make it career versus championship. If you want to add stakes to it, two guys nobody gives a shit about. Or if if he's actually not going to re-sign, just have him lose. But either way, that's your world title match at the end of the first night.
Right.
Assuming he has re-signed, he wins. If he doesn't, maybe MJF replaces him in a rematch next month. So whatever the return match is, if he's actually gone, hey, we're gonna have a surprise rematch against Jinder Mahal next month. MJF.
Right.
So either a four-way. I don't know if there's a show between Mania and Royal Rumble. There is. You're gonna have a rematch.
Yeah.
Randy
Elimination
Orton.
Chamber.
Oh, perfect. Randy Orton retains, pinning LA Knight again after interference from the Bucks. I don't know what happens. They try to take everybody out. So LA Knight has the match won after, which keep that in mind. He has Cody beat. Solo pulls him out of the ring and beats the shit out of him or whatever, does the stupid thumb thing. Jimmy and Solo take out Cody and Knight for Roman Reigns. They're out there to knock out. Cody's dead on the fucking mat, and they're going to beat the shit out of the other guys. Roman's in the ring. Roman Reigns goes to pin, what's it called? Cody.
Yes.
But he's not in there because The Rock comes out and gives the Rock bottom to Roman. Randy Orton crawls back in, pins LA Knight or somebody. Roman doesn't get pinned. Cody doesn't get pinned. That's important for the story. Cody Rhodes says, I'm 0 for 2, but I haven't been beaten personally.
Right.
So I am the one that's going to take on Randy Orton or something. And he and Orton are now the headline because the story can be finished against the guy that brought you into the company. I don't know. Play it up somehow. So now you have 6 huge matches between the two shows. You got Rock and Roman, which is, your version of Cena Rock from 10 years ago. Randy versus Cody for the title. You could turn Randy heel for kick him in the head, just knee pads underneath the knee. Jinder versus Drew. You can build the Punk and Rollins thing without a championship.
It sells itself.
Because Punk, if he wins the title, he's going to get hurt anyway. Title. So, LA Knight versus Solo as like a, hey, you screwed me out of the championship. And then you also have whoever wins the taking on Rhea, the other girl. You're going to have the tag team champions taking on Miz and R-Truth. Build that a little bit. You can have Gunther versus Brock. Sheamus involved somehow. I don't know. You tell me. MJF comes out and fights somebody. I don't even know who he would feud with. I think Miz would be kind of fun.
MJF cost Cody the belt.
Perfect. Writes itself. Or he screws. That's my fantasy. Sounded better in my head. But basically, McIntyre wins. He takes on Jinder, who takes the title next week. Rock and Roman build to some sort of thing where if Rock beats Roman, it's not for a title, and then you don't have a part-timer against a no-timer, and all of a sudden Rock's got to defend a title the next month. And also, if Rock and Roman headlines Mania as the
I wish I heard that last part. Your mic cut out, but I would assume that you said if Rock and Roman were the headline and one of them had the titles, you probably wouldn't even show up to it.
I would leave before the match begins. I would leave after Punk Rollins.
We're getting access out of the parking lot ASAP.
Yeah, we'll get out of there quickly.
That's fair. That's fair.
You cannot have Roman beat The Rock.
You have enough stars where you don't need the belt. Yeah. They don't need the belt.
That's exactly why. You don't need the belt in the Punk Rollins thing. You don't need the belt in the Roman Rock thing.
The belt should be elevating someone who hasn't been a champion or who finally is getting the champion. Finally, Cody would be elevated because he finally got it. But the thing is, he's so dry with his stories. Like, then what? All right, now what?
Well, this would be at least a way to reintroduce the whole finish my story, because his story began by being brought in with Randy.
No, but I'm saying if they didn't.
Yeah.
Well, this is fantasy, but I'm talking about the way that they're going right now.
Yeah.
All right, if he beats Roman, all right, now what?
And if he loses, then he loses 2 years in a row. He looks like a chump.
And then he shouldn't get a third shot. Like, what? Third time's a charm? No, he's done.
Honestly, MJF versus LA Knight would be fun too.
That promo battle would be.
Oh my
money.
You could even do it without a build, honestly. You just come out and they're two good workers.
MJF coming out in a
Just in
sling
general.
alone, just in general.
As long as he's got the music, and it's not like an AJ Styles thing where the music hits you like, oh, cool.
You'll see the name MJF.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Has to go. Yeah. MJF, is Cena still around?
I hope not.
Because they could have him do, when he debuted, Angle. Cena came out.
True.
Okay, who's going to come take it? Here comes MJF in a sling.
Ruthless aggression.
One of his Baker Mayfield harnesses.
A Burberry harness. I like it. Yeah, a lot of matchups that you don't even need the belt for, and obviously some of those matches are the main events without the belt.
Yeah.
So if you have a belt, sorry, you're not main eventing. But hey, you have the belt, A, and B, you're at WrestleMania. Live with it. CM Punk did.
I give you like 5, 6 high profile. You can have triple main events on both nights.
Excuse me.
You can even have LA versus Solo open the show on Saturday night. Or maybe the tag match opens. I don't know.
You basically just built a 10-card pay-per-view. Now, do you do 5 and 5? Who knows? Because you got the tag team. The 2 women each have a belt. That's 3 matches there. And then you have some random one that's just a throwaway. Maybe a battle royal to have everyone have their moment.
Yeah. If Brock comes back, maybe he faces somebody. Brock Batista or something. Gunther is going to be in some. I don't know if they're.
I'm not mad at it.
The fans are still.
Your mic is shot.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody today. Well, what's the next segment?
The last segment is the quickly the top 10 Philly sports villains. We took a different angle on this. You went in general, I guess, for opponents.
Who the fans hate.
Yeah, I went from who do Philadelphia sports fans hate who's played before or coached or what has something to do with a Philadelphia team. So
now 90% of my list is almost all of my list either played here or managed here or did some sort of capacity here. There are a few people from out of town who never played here that are on the list. How many? So top 10. How many extras do you have?
3.
All right, I have 7. Of course.
Oof. I'll go quickly on mine.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
In no particular order, I have Terrell Owens. For the simple fact, he left to go to the Dallas Cowboys. If he went to the Giants or Redskins, whatever, you go to the Cowboys. Nah, I'm good. Don't like that. But I can understand.
Is he the one that you were asking me about off air, where you said if somebody leaves and goes to okay?
Because some people that's just like the end.
That's who I thought.
It's like the Johnny Damon going from Boston to the Yankees. It's like, what are you doing? Babe Ruth, Clemens, shit like that.
Yeah,
so
Ellsbury.
But he was great. He played with a busted leg basically in the Super Bowl while McNabb's throwing up
fractured shin or whatever it was.
While McNabb's over there having cold feet and throwing up Campbell's chunky noodle soup in the fucking whatever you call it. I was gonna say the dugout, whatever the case may be, the huddle.
In the huddle, honestly.
Colangelo, this fucking bozo with this stupidity.
Which one?
Twitter. Brian Colangelo, I guess, the main guy. His wife, the whole family, stupidity.
Barbara. Poor Barb got dragged into that. She had nothing to do with it, and poor Barbara had to get dragged into it.
Idiots. Hate them all. And then Byron Maxwell.
I forgot about him.
I thought he was going to be tremendous, and he just absolutely shut the bed, just like the Raiders' safety or cornerback. Now Asamoah.
Yeah. Damn it! I was thinking about what Skandrick, and I couldn't think of another.
Oh yeah, Skandrick was here.
Hate. You can have your own hate. Like Slay's gonna be Bradbury's.
God, Bradbury's.
Well, between Kerry Williams, Bradley Fletcher, Nolan Carroll. All right, so I'll read you my honorables. I'll give you a quick blurb on each. A 17 for me is JD Drew. It would be unfair to have Cutter on JD Drew on here. He's the first one to do the thing that he did. He got drafted here, didn't want to sign. 16, I don't dislike him, but I understand Philly sports fans might. Carson Wentz, I don't consider him a villain. I don't think. I know that the stuff came out during the Super Bowl where he was jealous and audibly jealous that Foles was having success, but I personally don't dislike him. I think Philly fans over time have kind of forgiven him.
Yeah.
I honestly think they're coming around on the basketball version of him as well, but for now the basketball version is on my list. Carson, I do wish him well. Especially because if the Eagles, got rid of him and then their quarterback this year was like Nick Mullins or somebody, and they didn't find a franchise guy, then maybe they'd be more pissed. But I feel badly about it. 15 for me, Riley Cooper, racist ass.
Yeah.
I put him this low because he wasn't really a figure here. He only had like the half decent season. But the stuff that happened at the concert is unacceptable. They should have cut him. Number 14, which ties into that, is Chip Kelly. I don't dislike him as much. I actually found his tenure here to be more productive and conducive to the Super Bowl championship than anything. I will elaborate on that slightly, but the RPO that Nick Foles ran 7,000 times this would not be in the NFL if not for Chip Kelly. But at the same time, he depleted a really good roster and got rid of guys for racially motivated reasons. 13, Sean Rodriguez. He can burn in whatever sector of hell he's in for saying Philadelphia sports fans are entitled. We're entitled to not watch a shit-ass utility 10 and hit 1 home run on the season. Thanks, buddy. See you later. Bye. Cody Ross is number 12 for me.
Yeah.
Those home runs in the 2010 NLCS are forever, like Brandon on the brain. And 11 is Scott Rowland. I don't hate him. A lot of others do, and I think a lot of us come around. But still, to not come out on Scott Rowland Day, to basically force your way out. They got a decent player for him. Blanco wound up being decent here, and they did win a World Series a few years after they dumped him. But Scott Rowland, whatever.
Scumbag. Yeah, I'm not mad at the list. I didn't pick Carson Wentz. Had him originally, but I'm like, I don't hate him. No one
I don't
should
hate him either.
Because honestly, without Carson Wentz, we wouldn't have the home field advantage. We wouldn't be in the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz. He did the legwork. I mean, poorly, in hindsight, obviously. No pun intended.
Yeah,
but
he mangled his body. Yeah, he mangled his body. He had the concussion, the back, the
and he
foot.
was special, man. He was
good.
Good. That's an understatement. He was special. You couldn't tell. He was like Ben Roethlisberger.
He was the MVP.
And, he was. And Andrew Luck combined with Allen, basically. He was mobile. He can sling it on the run. Need 5 guys to take him down. He was great. Then the one injury in SoFi or in LA, whatever it was, against the Rams.
It was actually in the Rose Bowl, I think. That's before the Rams. That's before SoFi spaceship was built.
Yes,
it was actually, I think, in the Rose Bowl.
And unfortunately, it was against 2 undefeated teams or 2 top teams, and that was golf.
I believe they were 8-3 going into that game.
It was basically for home field advantage. That's what they were facing.
They were 9-2 actually, I think, and the Rams were 8-3 or 7-3 or something like that. Rams finished that game 7-2 games up. They actually clinched a playoff spot in that game.
Yeah.
Brandon Graham, love you. Little fumble recovery for a touchdown at the end to have the Eagles cover. Love that. We love a backdoor.
We always love a backdoor one.
But yeah, Carson Wentz, I'm with you. I think he definitely deficiencies, but the 2017 Carson Wentz feels like a fever dream.
Right.
He was awesome, and he admittedly did break down, but so I have a lot of sympathy for him. I hope he catches on.
Hey man, it could happen this weekend if Stafford's body doesn't hold up. Woo. Give me that's must-watch TV.
Yeah.
Must-watch. All right, top 10.
Yes.
Alternating, right? Or no?
Oh, yeah, let's alternate.
All right, I'll start off. I'll get this right out the way. Donovan McNabb is my number 10.
Damn, I forgot about him. Well, yeah, you took a different slant. But yeah, McNabb, all he does is bash former current players here.
He's not around the team. You barely hear of him, and when you do, he's neutral and kind of bashing, but he's doing his job as a correspondent. He's not really like beloved or remembered. Michael Vick is. Nick Foles is. He's not. I think Carson Wentz might come around more than McNabb in the future. Don't hold your breath on it, though. But yeah, McNabb, number 10.
I'm with you. Number 10 for me, I have no ill will toward him, and I don't think fans of the Philadelphia team that hates him genuinely hate him because of the person he is, but just the fact that he terrorized us for the last 20 years. Sidney Crosby is number 10 for me. I actually like him. I think he's but the fact that he killed this franchise for 3 Stanley Cups in the same time playoff series. So Sidney Crosby, respectfully.
Sid the Kid. All right, number 9 for me. At no fault of his own. It's just a dumb move by Eagle management, obviously, but you were picked at this spot, buddy. You had to produce, and you didn't do it. Jalen Rager, you
Oh,
fucking bum. I can't. When we went to that Monday night game, he was booed mercifully anytime he caught any punt, and he got a good shot for him. I think it was Barnett or somebody gave him a good shot right out of bounds. It was the biggest pop of the night, no pun intended. But yeah, Jalen Rager, J. Josh should be on here too. I forgot about
you
him.
know, you know what? The fact that we took two different avenues to get to the same destination here is actually fun. We bringing up names I didn't even think of. Number 9 for me is Gabe Kapler.
Oh
Kapler, who
God,
I
forgot
actually
about him.
kind of liked and defended, but good riddance. I've never seen somebody outside of professional wrestling announcers portray something that literally did not happen. He would go out there and he would talk about the game as if it wasn't televised. He would answer questions at the podium and talk about like as if he was trying to portray them in a certain way to you, as if you were blind and didn't want. He was condescending. He wasn't ready for a more. I think San Fran probably fit him better. I forget where he is now. I think he was with Boston or something, but he's it didn't work here. He is partially responsible for Scott Kingery's swing being ruined. He had a terrible pitching coach. I will say the reason he's not low because when he was hired, he specifically said, "I want Rob Thompson from to be my bench coach." So thank God he was here because otherwise Tom would be here. So I have a little bit of love for Kaplan.
Love it. Number 8, Andrew Bynum.
Damn, another
My
name I
man.
forgot.
I remember where I was. I was getting a haircut. Dominican barbershop. I'm like, the Eagles. Sixers made a trade for Andrew Bynum. I'm like, oh, we're back, baby. I don't even watch basketball at the time like that. Not seriously. I'm like, we have Andrew Bynum from the Lakers? I don't care who we gave up. I don't know what we gave up. But I know he was injured. But F it. We're going to get him. Nope. Injured. Time's up. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah,
Didn't
and I
he
never
literally didn't suit up once in a Sixers uniform.
Yeah, I remember where I was too. I was actually on the beach when that happened. I was in Atlantic City actually. I was on the
Oh,
Atlantic
yeah.
City beach with my parents and my friend. I had very limited cell service. My friend and I didn't have the Twitter apps. I didn't have a like super updated smartphone. My buddy and I, who I was friends with really closely in high school, we were texting back and forth. He's like, $8 in the trade. I'm like, cool. Where's he going? He's going Denver. I was like, all right, cool. Doesn't matter. He's like, Jason Richardson's coming to Philly. I was like, still in the league? Okay, cool. And then they were like, oh, we got rid of Vucevic. Fuck, I kind of like him.
Damn.
They should have traded Lavoy Allen instead. And then first day of school, my junior year of high school, my buddy and I, he wore the red Andrew Bynum shirt, and we both went to school in the Andrew Bynum t-shirt for
geez.
first day of school. But yeah, that was. I respect them for making that move. It's a shame Iguodala went out the way, but it was time to do something.
Yeah.
And Doug Collins wasn't getting any younger. This team, they were stuck in purgatory. They had to shoot for the moon, and Bynum was a stud. Just didn't work out.
Honestly.
8 for me. I do have redacted at 8.
Woof.
I don't really hate him the way we did last year. I think partially because the guy he got traded for wound up being a giant flop. He's kind of in the Carson Wentz territory for me, but a little bit less benefit of the doubt. I do feel bad if he is dealing with stuff and like the back and everything. It kind of sucks, but he didn't improve at all from the time he debuted. Became a stat guy, became a clutch guy, got his max, and then stopped caring.
He's on TikTok now.
And I know that you gave me some airport perspective on him, where Jimmy Butler would be up his butt a little, being late to the plane and everything.
Right.
So it makes sense why he was moved on from. Honestly, Elton Brand tried to trade him, and management told him, "We're keeping him and getting rid of Butler." Brand absolved of blame here.
Yikes. Number 7 for me, Jonathan Gannon.
Oh.
I believe in my heart of hearts he threw that Super Bowl. He was already on his way out. He already had the job the moment that game ended. I don't know if it's tampering, but he had that job in Arizona before that game ended. Don't care what anyone says. Jonathan Gannon, see ya. Good riddance. Bye. Now, granted, defense was much better than it is now under Gannon, but how he went out like that, and how that Super Bowl ended, nah, I know it's not his fault, but he's got to get some of the blame.
Oh, wait a second. So there is
Breaking news.
don't just tell me something without giving me the specifics. Holy shit. All right, so if Dabo Sweeney is bought out, oh my God, this is actually a clause. So in Dabo Sweeney's contract with, if he's bought out in a court, like if he is bought out, so if he takes the Bama job,
Yeah.
Clemson would have to pay him 150% on his contract. So they would owe him time and a half essentially.
Oh
if he,
my God.
it's a clause in his contract. That's another name I forgot to mention earlier. My buddy just texted me after he said Lane Kiffin's a guy I could have a job. Another former assistant. That was well put by you, Gannon. Burn in hell. I'm actually kind of glad he beat the Eagles. Number 7 for me. This is the first, the second the first football player on the list that is not from Philly, Rondé Barber.
Ooh.
Partially because they're milking the stupid interception. I think Rondé Barber's retirement night was the same night the Tampa earlier this season. I don't really hate him as a person. His brother is actually kind of annoying, but he because he was the symbolic end of the vet. The fans leaving that day all said it was bone dry. It was just quiet on the way out. Like they weren't even mad. Like they were just like stunned at how the game went. And he's the last thing stadium game. Obviously, I'm of the minority here where I think that play in particular, the pick six off the snap, for anybody that doesn't know, that play didn't really end the game. It put the game to rest, but they were dead in the second quarter of that game.
Yeah.
I watched that game during COVID when there was nothing else on. They were up 3 plays in, and then I don't think they scored the rest of the way. So like they were already kind of dead. The game was over, but that game closed. That play closed the book. So I think it's overblown. It's not like it was tied and McNabb throws an interception. No, they were down by already 2 scores. So that just put them out of everything out of reach. So I think that play is over.
That was the cherry on top for sure.
Yeah.
And I remember where I was because that was the very first football game I've ever like watched and took serious.
Really? Oh my! Sorry to hear that.
I didn't know what the vet was. I remember it was dark. It was raining. It was a slug match. It was like the camera. It was, I don't know. It was weird. It was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
And then the interception happened. I was like, well, all right, I guess they're done. And then I went to school, and then as the Super Bowl was happening, we had to wear like Jersey Day, and I never watched football, so I was like, all right. So I told my teacher, which one do I get? Do I get Tampa or do I get the Raiders? And he's like, I would go Raiders, but I think Tampa's gonna win. So I went and got me a Raiders jersey because I like the black and gold or the black and silver.
Yeah, it's a good jersey.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, that was the very first time I ever watched football. It was that. Yeah. I didn't know the significance of it because I saw then Lincoln Financial Field. And I'm like, all right, didn't know what the vet was until I saw pictures of it afterwards.
I didn't understand at the moment either. I think I was 6 when it happened, maybe 7. So I was a little bit younger. But I didn't understand. I knew they lost, and that play stuck with me too because I never saw 2020. So like I knew play and when it happened, but I didn't know the circumstances. When I watched, all right, I watched the Kawhi game back, finished for the first time. Game, and I was like, the second quarter they can't move the ball. Like, what was so devastating about this? And then fast forward, already done. That play just it's almost like the empty. Like, you still kind of have a chance, but it really wasn't as significant as it made it seem.
Right.
It's just we like being masochist. All right, we're in the top 6. I'm dragging this along. I'm going too slow here. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. We're almost approaching the 2-hour mark, honestly. We'll speed it up at once the top 5. Number 6 for me, Al Horford.
Okay.
For all intents and purposes, I know you're probably going to touch on him eventually. he's
on
probably
here,
your North Star, honestly. Al Horford.
He's a piece of shit. Number 6 for me is a guy named, you might not be familiar with this guy, but it's Scott Stevens for New Jersey Devil. He's the guy who basically, the hits that are now illegal in the NHL, he was doing them back when they were legal. He basically...
He was Brian Dawkins?
He pretty much ended Lindros. He gave him devastating concussion in the playoffs.
Damn.
And he's a very hateable guy. So Jesus. Scott Stevens, any hockey fan will probably agree with him. He's the highest hockey name on the list here. I'm actually no, he's not. Fuck, my bad.
I'm like, well, I have a clear favorite then.
He's the highest player on the list who actually played in the NHL.
Right. Who's inactive actually.
Yeah. Right.
Number 5 for me, Chip Kelly.
Okay.
I'll never forgive him for trading LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso.
Oh, baby.
That right there will live forever in infamy. I love the play action. First play of the
offense
Chip
was
Kelly
sensational.
era.
Oh, my God.
Down the field, Vic Jackson, touchdown, game set, baby. But 3 and out, real quick like that, and then your defense is going back out there getting slaughtered, wasn't for me. But when McCoy left to go to Buffalo for Kiko Alonso.
And McCoy was still good, too. Kiko had that one interception in the end zone against Matt Ryan on Monday Night Football.
That was it. That was his highlight, highlight.
I'm going to try not to tell stories, but when I was in high school, my senior year, I got suspended on opening day of the. You might know. I'll tell you there, but the first day of school was a Monday, and that night happened to be Eagles, and it was the most exciting day on Twitter, and I had to deactivate my Twitter stances because of something that happened on the internet. I could not see what other people about it. And I was sitting in my room. I had such fun. They're moving the so fast. I was texting with a couple of people, but overall, I couldn't really interact with people and see what other opinions were. So different, and we didn't really see that in the preseason. But yeah, he was the first game was sensational. 5 for me is that was right 5, right?
Yeah.
Horford.
Oof.
Yeah, he can get fucked. His sister's annoying.
You hate. I think you hate his sister more than him.
His sister's such a fucking rat. I don't know. We're gonna move before I get canceled. It's already been a bad day. I'm irritable.
Number 4 for me, Ben Simmons. He's up there for me. Number 4 for me is Ben Simmons. I know you had him very low for me. For me, he's high. His inept on offense was just pure shit. The Hawks game seals the deal for me. In infamy. If it was Clint Capella, sure, I would dish it. This was Trae Young defending. I'm good. And he hasn't been back since. I know with back injuries of myself, but I'm back within a week or two. He's gone for 143 games for how many seasons now? This is crazy. And he's on TikTok, like, learning how to cook, and he's saying, I'm back soon. Like, it's the summer highlight reel, just in the winter version on TikTok. I'm done. I'm over it. He sucks. Good riddance. Last point on this. Come back in Philadelphia as an opponent on the court, then talk to me. Right now, you're on the bench with your Balenciaga, which is a canceled fucking clothing brand. You fucking dumb bum. Get out of here, you fuckhead. That's my number 4.
I try being in the building for that play, by the way. The air came out of the building
I probably
so
would have been
fast.
banned. I probably would have been banned.
The only thing I can imagine the air coming out of the building more, aside from when the Flyers lost the Stanley Cup, is if the Kawhi shot happened here.
Oh, boy.
Number 4 for me is a name that you may not know, but it's George Toma. Now, you may remember
Jim
this
Tomey?
name. George, yeah. George Foreman. George Toma was the groundskeeper for Super 57 at whatever the name of the stadium was in Arizona, who made sure the grass was a lifelong fan. And he was retiring anyway, so the NFL couldn't fire him.
Oh,
so
yes, I remember this.
He's the guy that was responsible for the Eagles' pass rush basically being completely neutralized in 57 against the Chiefs. I understand. Listen, excuses are fun.
I remember this.
But it's not so much fun to have a qualifier for everything. Excuses, they are just lame justification. The pass rush not being able to get home definitely benefited the Chiefs more than it's benefited the Eagles that night. And I believe if that game were played anywhere else on anything other than that fucking grass or in the Eagles win. So George Toma, I hope you burn in hell.
Jesus.
And you're pretty close to it because you're old as fuck. So
YouTube, we're demonetized.
Nah, we're demonetized anyway. We're in the top 3 now.
Yes, top 3. Top 3 for me.
I don't have rants ready for these, by the way. I'm going to say the name. I don't have rants to be able to go too far on my next 3.
I think I'm just going to say enough said for each of them.
Yeah.
We haven't overlapped yet, and this might be the one.
I think this is the one we're going to.
Number 3, Craig Kimbrell.
Damn it. No, we're not.
Get out of my face.
You mean Philadelphia 2023 Philadelphia Phillies All-Star Craig Kimbrell?
Yes. The guy who got a raise after blowing games left and right last year. Craig Kimbrell. See, just stupid ponytail.
Unless you, we're not going to overlap at all.
Jesus, the play clock.
Peacock.
The,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
right. The play clock for him is his kryptonite. Thank God for JT Realmuto. Thank God for him. Otherwise, we'd be down 1,000 runs every ninth inning.
All right. By the way, I think a bounce back is in store for JT, and then since he doesn't have to worry about the World Baseball Classic this year.
Right.
Number 3 for me. I thought this was going to be where you would put him. Cutter Gauthier is number 3 for me,
Ooh, that
just
was
because
close.
I can. There are people ahead of him that I cannot stand, and I've said enough on Cutter. Maybe there's other stuff that goes into this. For now, Prima Donna, not ready to play in the big light of Philadelphia. Go enjoy Anaheim, where you're probably like the second most marketed player there, ahead of Trout probably.
Jesus, dude.
Top 2. This is our last chance to overlap because number 1 for me is somebody you've already said.
We're not going to overlap. Number 2, Cutter Gauthier.
Duh.
Yeah. Scumbag. Philly's a fucking blue collar place. You pretentious douchebag.
I know it sucks to play here for some guys, but you can't actively.
Because he grew up a Penguin fan. Swallow your fucking pride. Look at
true.
Michael Parsons. Grew up in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, Penn State or whatever, and is playing at Dallas.
Jalen Hurts was a Cowboys fan, by the way, growing up, wasn't he?
Yeah, he
was
was
he from
Houston.
down
Yeah, he's
there?
from
That's right.
Houston. And he's
I
up
guess
here.
Houston didn't really have a team yet.
And he's up here. Like, knock it off, you pretentious douchebag. And you put it ever so beautifully. He's a one-trick pony, essentially. He's very small for his position. Daniel Briere kind of buried him. Like, he might be good. But right now, he's going to get receipts. If this was wrestling, he'd get receipts left and right.
Oh, well, this is the one contact sport you can actually do this stuff.
He might be Ben Simmons of hockey when he comes to Philadelphia. He's on the bench. Can't play. He's inactive.
He's up top. He's eating a flyer-shaped pretzel in the press
He
box.
probably won't even be there. He probably won't travel with the team.
I don't know.
For his safety.
Needs. I hope he's ready for the booth. That might be even if team say he's on the Ducks next year and he makes the team. Even if the Flyers are again kind of in the middle, that will be one of the few sellouts. I think people will buy tickets to boo that little kid. All right, so we definitely don't have overlap here unless my number 2 is your number. Number 2 for me, Adam Silver.
Oof.
Adam Silver, I don't have a rant ready, but basically to fill folks in, he's the NBA commissioner. Essentially, the reason Sam Hinkie was forced out before being able to see through the process. And basically forced Jerry Colangelo into Philadelphia, come in, fucking trade second-round picks for Ish Smith, and then eventually hire his nepotistic son, Brian Colangelo, not too long after pretending they did an actual GM, essentially ruining the Sixers organization, giving money to Gerald Henderson. JJ Redick, who was good here, but they tripled what he would have made on the market, making bad move after bad move, horrible trade after horrible trade. And unfortunately, I think Adam Silver is at the nucleus of this. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I think that this is a lot of people believe.
Yeah. That
he was essentially, the NBA could not have a tanking championship. Oklahoma City's never going to win a championship. They can't have a tanking team win a championship. Said, let's get rid of the visionary that a lot of people did dislike for what it's worth. Hinkie, there's no that he would have righted the ship and gotten them to where they are now. You never know. It all hinged on Embiid and eventually Simmons, whoever else. But bring in a guy that will sabotage this from within, but make it look organic because you're a fucking idiot. And both the Colangelos came in here and ruined shit because they were just naturally inept. And I believe Silver, in his heart of hearts, said, Josh Harris, listen to me. Answer the phone. It's Adams. I know it's Adams. Too. Hey, look. Here's the deal. You dump this Hinkie guy, make it look like you got rid of him or make it look like he fired himself, and you guys will win the lottery. You get Simmons next year. You get the next LeBron. Perfect. Thanks. And that's how I think they won the lottery the next year. Because I truly believe if Hinkie were here, they would have not. Simmons would.
It'd be rigged. It's a rigged system.
Yeah. So Adam Silver again.
Scumbag.
You'll almost never hear me say nice things. I cannot stand him.
Scumbag. Jesus. This episode is like your therapy. You're just ranting off on it.
Yeah, this is I should have just done this without even. I should have just sat in a room somewhere. Because I would have talked to the mirror.
And number 1 for me, James Harden.
Oh, I knew he was gonna be on there somewhere.
James Harden, you fucking bozo. He was the honeymoon phase was great. It was what it was.
I loved him.
Game 1 against Boston, sensational. We're back, baby. We were up 1 win away with 2 games in Philly, and collectively shat the bed on both nights. Quit on your team, and then Joel Embiid followed suit right behind you.
Yeah,
Essentially,
set a bad precedent. My first time in Madison Square Garden, first time I ever stepped foot in Madison Square Garden, I was wearing a James Harden jersey almost to the minute that stupid Woj report came out that he was eyeing Houston. My beautiful Christmas. I got engaged 2 days prior. I bought some baseball cards the day before, drank a lot of beer, had some great food. I'm in a James Harden jersey going to the most famous arena in the entire world and wearing a James Harden jersey, and he had a great game. And I was, during that game, I was just like, look, this is magic. This is the first time I've seen him play as a Sixer. This is magical. I hope he's here forever. And
Harden
sign him, give him the max, and then, of course, things will. So I thought about putting him on here, but I thought he wasn't good enough. I thought I had Simmons. I almost don't even care because they kind of want to trade. It's like mutually win. So
James Harden didn't show up because of some Glenn Rivers somehow escaped both our top 10s.
I don't know how I didn't put him on here.
It just clicked on me now.
I put Gabe Kapler on here, but
I put Byron
you have
Maxwell.
Gannon on yours. Yeah, you got Gannon on.
I went into the well to get Byron Maxwell and Colangelo's in there, and Glenn Rivers
I wanted to
survive.
Listen, if this were a top 20, Rivers would be on here. I would probably have Dave Hackstall on here. There's be some more people on here.
Trey Young will be on there.
I think next week we should reverse the karma and do a positive episode on our favorite Philadelphia people forever. For what it's worth, because I don't have a whole lot left to say about them, because they're all sides and to Jerry and I hate them both. And I almost never want to think about them anymore. But we could do a deep dive on everything that went wrong with the here. Burnergate. If not for Burnergate, that stupid cocksucking child would still be here, being the GM of the Sixers. I think the only sliver of hope that I had that there is a God is that the fact that Daryl Morey is the guy that kind of came in and fixed things, who also was Hinky's mentor. So they've almost kind of had that weird reaction in the universe where, and now Josh Harris, hopefully he sells Camden, but I things maybe are headed to the right direction. The problem is good stuff that I have in the team and all that stuff is not going to happen until after Embiid probably retires. So I have conflicting thoughts on the Sixers, and there's so many things that go on in my head, but Jerry and Brian Colangelo. I didn't hate Brian as much in the moment. I hated Jerry because I knew he was a slimeball, probably a pedophile. But those two guys and Adam Silver are the like nuclear heat in my brain, like the night hurt. And those WCW, those three, they're almost like.
Your audio. I'm sorry.
I'm getting canceled by the FCC. They're like the top of the list of people I cannot stand the most, and I might have to take it to my grave, which honestly may be sooner than later. The way my pressure is rising this episode.
I mean, Joe Girardi escaped Xfinity Live, or Comcast, excuse me. They survived this as well.
Yeah, they're lucky the Flyers are good this year.
Right. Well, all right. We hit a little bit over 2 hours. It was a show that we had to get a lot off our chest, especially Rob. It was like his therapy session.
Yeah, it was.
Best wishes to Nick Saban in his retirement.
Yeah, and wherever. Hopefully, we get some good coaching news by next week. We probably won't, but maybe
we will on Tuesday.
It'll be after I record too. Watch.
No, I'm gonna make sure Lori knows that you have a hard deadline.
Okay, yeah, let him know, please.
Yeah, I'll let him know when he's charting his private plane to go to Florida for like the next 2 weeks. I'll let him know, hey, break the news now, so my co-host can break the news on our podcast.
By the way, scan this QR code, please, and subscribe.
Right, please. You don't have to.
Yeah, anybody that's made it through this, hopefully you didn't listen to it close to bed because it'll fire you up. Hopefully you did listen to it on your way to work. It's like a natural stimulant. Your heart high after this episode. We should, clip that fucking MLB rant, throw it on Instagram. That might be what makes us go viral. But if you're listening, thank you so much for listening
And
as
tag
always.
passing in it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening as always. We do appreciate it. We do this for the love of the game.
We'd be remiss. I know we're like well over 2 minutes, but Ken Rosenthal, how dare you, sir?
Oh God,
You.
I didn't even want to talk about him. And I'm gonna go on for another hour. Cut it. No, don't you dare compare Wander Franco to Jose Altuve and Scott Kingery and all these other guys. Oh, God, we're gonna talk about that next week. We're gonna talk about that. Right. I might actually. That might be number one on my team, unless the Eagles fire Sirianni. That's oh God. Thank you, but also not thank you for bringing that up. I forgot about.
Yes.
Okay.
Ken Rosenthal, you're on notice. Tag passing, tag Ken Rosenthal on the MLB rant. Clip it, people. We'll clip it ourselves. We'll throw it on the TikTok. Yeah. We'll make it happen here. As Rob is just defeated, dejected. He needs get a crumble cookie. You'll feel much better.
It's panini night, so I'm very excited about that.
There you go. Cheat day. All right, this has been episode 138. A monstrous episode. A lot of things off his chest.
But it flowed pretty well. So if you're listening, hopefully it wasn't a slog. Or congrats on making it to the weekend because you're probably listening on Friday afternoon. It's probably when I'll be listening.
Right. Same. I'm off actually. So I'll be
that's
listening.
Right. You're off tomorrow. Yeah, the rare like Friday off for you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you for listening. We truly appreciate it. Please, we're on YouTube. Share it. Subscribe on YouTube. We're on the Instagram, pa.termpod on Instagram. You can find Rob there. I'll eventually make my return to Instagram. Once you go away from Instagram or social media,
it's hard to get back. Yeah,
it's really hard to get back. But we know Perry. He's on it. He's just sending Instagram links all day.
Shout out Perry. I don't know if he was on here. I don't think there's any comments on the YouTube, but
he wasn't.
Shout out Perry.
Yeah, shout out Perry. And
shout out to his brother also for being on my side with the Ken Rosenthal thing because he hates the Athletics so much.
That was surprising. That was probably the shock of the day for me.
I thought it was someone else when I got the notification. I noticed it was him. I was like, oh, no way.
I saw it. I was like, and then you kept going back and forth. I'm like, look at this. Our group chat's not dead. We can revive this. All right, guys, we're running on. We'll see you next week for the Tuesday 10 and episode 139 of the PA Turn Pod. Have a good weekend.